Unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown!
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The big show is on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina, and hello, the world. Great to be with you again on a Thursday afternoon. I am the aforementioned Rob Brown. The pleasure exclusively mine. Back in the network studio. The man switching the switches, levering the levers, in charge of all the gear that makes the show go. He's Drew. He's filling in for the great Alonso. Returns next week. A couple more days with DJ Drew on the ones and twos. What's up, big fella?
Happy Friday Eve. I don't know if you ever were planning to step outside sometime this week. It is gorgeous. It's like this beach weather. With the wind, I know storms are like coming in. And it's kind of hot, but it's kind of overcast. And I was just standing out there before I came into the studio going, man. I should tell Rob, there's an outdoors, and it feels good.
What a beautiful underhanded slap in the face, Drew. Well done. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the art of insulting someone to their face while still being nice about it. Beautiful job, Drew. It's like you've been learning during your time here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
It sounds like I've been preparing that for the last 24 hours, but I really didn't. I just stepped in and I was like, man, this is really nice. I didn't oversleep today. This is really nice because I didn't sleep today. So I just I got here really soon. And as soon as this show is over, I'm crashing at the house. Nice rain. It looks like go off to bed. And then tomorrow is Friday, my final day here.
I just love that Drew found a way to take an absolute dig at me, but work it into weather talk as if it was totally normal.
Yeah,
very impressed.
What I do.
Very impressed. It is beautiful. And here, Drew, for the sake of firing one back, since you've decided that you're going to choose violence to start the show today. Tomorrow, Saturday, a full slate of sports here in the Upstate. Not only is the Palmetto Championship taking place at Congaree, just about 2 hours from here. Savannah Leigh, who by the way has been elevated in the golf world, we will tell you about that coming up later on in the show. Is going to join us just after 1:30 to talk about Dustin Johnson's chances of putting it all together to win a trophy in his home state. We got that coming up for you. But right here in the Upstate, the BMW Pro-Am on the Corn Ferry Tour is set to go. Your boy, when I get off the air today, you drift off into your Sleeping Beauty-esque state. Your boy will be at the BMW Pro-Am, where later on today, I will be shaking the hand, grabbing a picture with, and snagging an autograph from the great Ken Griffey Jr., from the great Ozzie Smith, and from the great Brian Bumgardner, of course. Brian from the Office will be in the house as well. And over the next 3 days, I will get the opportunity to meet, greet, pick an autograph with all of those characters. Two baseball icons of my youth, Drew, and one of the stars, one of the best characters on one of my favorite television shows of all time, The Office. That's my next 3 days. Take my going outside and shove it, Drew. That's what I gotta say.
That's a typical weekend for you, Rob Brown.
And by the way, because I forgot, on top of that, tonight, tomorrow, hopefully Saturday, depends on how the outcome of the next two games go. The Indy Fuel will be playing Kelly Cup playoff hockey against York Greenville Swamp Rabbits right here in the Bill. And your boy will be sitting on the ice behind the glass for those games too. Drew, how you like me now, son?
Amazing. Amazing. Happy for you, not jealous at all, because I definitely know that you deserve all the best. You deserve all the best. And
don't you suck up. Don't you suck up. It's too late for that. It's too late. Don't you on me now. Too late for that. Too late for that. Busy day on the show today. Coming up at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast is going to join us here on the show. We'll talk a little bit about the comments earlier this week from David Tepper regarding the possibility of the Panthers getting a new stadium. We'll tell you what he had to say and how we both interpreted it. That's coming up at 1 o'clock. Then right after that at 1:35, Savannah Leigh of golflink.com. Yes, she's got a new job. She got a new title. She's moving on up to the world. Savannah Leigh is going to join us. At 1:35-ish to talk a little golf. DJ getting ready to go with the Palmetto Championship at Congaree. We got the Korn Ferry BMW Pro-Am right here in the upstate as well. We'll talk to her at 1:35. Then, less than an hour later, the great one joins us here on the show. Alonso will be chiming in. We will bring you Fight Club as we traditionally do at 2:20 on Thursdays. Alonso will be calling in, taking time off of his vacations in order to talk a little Fight Club with us. That's coming up in just a few minutes from now. Busy day on the show today. Drew, let's get this bad boy started. What do you say, man?
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented. You guys are here.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch!
It's the lunch breakdown. The 3 things you have to know before you go talking sports with your friends, family, coworkers, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with. This will be the scuttlebutt around the lunch table today. The things that you have to know. Item number 1, Rod Brindamore, head coach of your Carolina Hurricanes, after getting bounced from the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs by Andrei Vasilevsky and the Tampa Bay Lightning after a 2-0 loss that eliminated them in the second round. The head coach has spoken out for the first time. Rod Brindamore was asked how you feel about the conclusion of the season. Are you more disappointed in the outcome or proud of the process? Brindamore said that both. He said, quote, "I'm proud of these guys. That's the thing that's great. You come to work and you have a group of people that just leave it out there. That's what they did tonight. Everybody was just going so hard, but we're obviously disappointed. This is not what we started out to have. We wanted to win it all. It's tough. I think everyone's disappointed right now, but I'm always proud of the group. When we started this 3 years ago, it was to get relevant and expect to win, and we do now, and then be proud of what we're doing. I think we've done that. There's the next step we've got to find." Asked what his number 1 takeaway from the Tampa series was, and this is exactly what I thought it was going to be, and what I told you would be the comments more than likely of Rod Brindamore when he sat down for an interview the first time, as he has done. He said, quote, "Right now, the number 1 takeaway is that we've got to get a little bit better. Our talent is close, but we clearly got beat in the talent area, the big areas, the power plays, the penalty kills. That's the area we've got to get better. So my biggest takeaway is, how do we get better? We were good all year, but when you're up against the best, that's the great comparison to see, okay, wow, that's how it's done. That's my biggest takeaway right now. But again, they're a great team for a reason. There's no weaknesses. They've got the best goalie in the world, probably the best couple players in the world. They're stacked everywhere. They have great coaching. They've got it all," end quote. Asked what he wants to see change personnel-wise, he said, quote, "We've got to get better with depth. There's always a weakest link that you can't have. We've got to figure out what it is and get better at it. We definitely have some great pieces, both talent-wise and character-wise. We've got to make sure we keep those, in fact. And if there's areas we've got to get better, which obviously we do, we've got to figure out a way to do that. So that's what we've got to do moving forward." He was seen talking to Andrei Vasilevsky, the outstanding goalkeeper for the Lightning after the series. They said, "What'd you say to him?" He said, quote, "I've been around a long time. That's kind of what I said. I've seen a lot of goalies that were good, but he's as good as anyone that I've ever seen. I go back to Dominic Hasek and how he affects the team, the way they can play. He makes it look easy. Hasek made it look hard. We had a lot of good looks tonight, and they looked nothing like because he was in the right place or whatever. That's what I told him." So, Rod Brindamore, I have some more comments from Rod Brindamore later on in the show, but suffice to say, Brindamore said what I said, which is, hey, this team is good, but they are lacking a bit of depth. They are going to need to add another superstar, and they're going to need to find another penalty killer if they are going to be successful next year. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. As we breeze through this, I will tell you that all 3 items will absolutely come back up for discussion later on in the broadcast. Son of legendary Michigan football coach Bo Schembechler told Matt Schembechler, who is now 62 years of age, said that sometime today, and I don't know if it'll be during our show, I don't know if it'll drop during Offsides with Mark Ryan, but Matt Schembechler, the son of Bo Schembechler, said that he will be dropping his story later today about how his father, iconic Michigan Wolverine coach Bo Schembechler, allowed former team doctor Robert Anderson to abuse him and many players on the Michigan football team for years while keeping it quiet. Matt Schembechler, at 62, said he was sexually molested by Anderson when he was 10 years old, within a year of when his adopted father was hired to coach the Wolverines and his family moved to Ann Arbor. Matt said Anderson fondled him and did a probe of his nether regions when he visited the doctor for a physical prior to joining Pee Wee football. According to Matt, when he shared those details with Bo, the coach told him that he didn't want to hear about it, and they got physically violent with both Matt and his mother. Matt told ESPN, quote, "That was the first time he closed fist punched me. It knocked me all the way across the kitchen." Matt said that he plans to address those claims further in a news conference this afternoon alongside 2 former Michigan football players who say they also attempted to warn Bo Schembechler about Anderson's abuse. Anderson and Schembechler both died years ago before any claims about those issues became public. Anderson worked at University of Michigan from 66 to 03, and during the majority of time at the school, worked closely with the athletic department, treating athletes' injuries and conducting annual physicals. Hundreds of former patients, many of them former Wolverine athletes, now say that Anderson sexually abused and harassed them in a variety of ways during the treatment of routine medical issues. In interviews and court documents, Anderson's former patients say the doctor assaulted them, fondled them, and made an array of inappropriate sexual comments, among many other examples of misconduct. Anderson died back in 08, Schembechler back in 06. The investigation that kicked off into this situation back in 2018 was tipped off by a letter from a former university wrestler. The university hired a law firm in 2020 to determine how prior complaints about Anderson were handled. That law firm found that multiple employees at the university failed to act when presented with credible complaints that Anderson was sexually abusing his patients. Look, we're going to deep dive into this later on in the show, but I don't think I'm going out on any limb to say that this is, not okay. Not in the least. And if Bo Schembechler knew that this was happening and Matt Schembechler brings receipts to the table to prove that that is the case, then the trophy comes down, the streets get renamed, and Michigan football gets the Penn State treatment for a very, very, very long time. We'll circle back around to that later on in the show. And item number 3, the debate, perhaps fight, over name, image, and likeness laws continues, and now it has been brought to the halls of Congress. 3 weeks before name, image, and likeness rights will begin in one way or another for many college athletes around the country, though not all, desperation is setting in for the NCAA to cover their own ass. After years of arguments, hand-wringing, and lawsuits, it has come down to this. There are 21 days between now and July 1st, which is the day that many states will see their NIL laws kick into reality, including Florida, Georgia, New Mexico, and others. Well, a number of representatives of the NCAA and NCAA sports made their ways to the halls of Congress yesterday to try to compel legislators to get involved and to legislate this from a federal perspective. Gonzaga basketball coach Mark Few was one of those in attendance. He told a few legislators, quote, "We need your help. This is not an issue the NCAA and individual states can fix." Mark Few had what was likely the most compelling statement from a sitting D1 coach, but he was not alone. Other folks on the Hill were talking about it as well. Senator Jerry Moran from Kansas, a Republican, asked Marquette Law Professor Matthew Mitten, "How do you put the cat back in the bag after July 1st? Mitten answered, quote, "I don't think you can. I think that is exactly the problem." Senator Maria Cantwell, a Democrat from Washington, is trying to assemble a bipartisan name, image, and likeness bill through her chairmanship of the Senate Committee on Commerce. It was her hearing yesterday where growing evidence that a federal bill coming from Commerce won't be enough. There is the issue of disclosure. Should athletes be required to share their endorsement contracts with, well, anyone, whether it's other students, whether it's the schools themselves, etc.? Schools have gone to great measures in the past to shield students' information from the public. That is federal law. Should the schools be held to that same standard regarding NIL legislation? Should the schools themselves even know what the profit margin is for an athlete that is, let's say, theoretically, a swimmer who gets a marketing deal with a swimwear company? How does that play out? How does it look? Those are the big questions on the Hill yesterday. But the belief now is that there will not be any major federal legislation that will have an impact on what comes next from Capitol Hill. It looks like this will progress as expected at the state level. Who knows what's next for the feds? All right, we're going to circle back around to that later on in the show as well. It is going to be a very, very busy day. First hour is packed up. Second hour, a pair of guests as Rashad Beard joins us at 1 o'clock. Savannah Leigh at 1:30. Alonso joins us at 2:20 for the Fight Club. If you want in, you better jump in the first hour where we have the most time. Give us a buzz, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307, 71307. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown.
Golf cart?
The 2021 Upstate Golf Cart is on sale now. And now through Father's Day, you are getting it for $75. Look, it was an incredible deal at $99, but now through Father's Day, you are getting it for $75. $75 only, man. Good luck beating that. You're not going to 9 beautiful, illustrious, prestigious golf courses around the Upstate, and you're playing each and every one of them for just $75. But they will sell out, and you got to get yours now. Go to upstategolfcart.com. Upstategolfcart.com. Pick up yours. One for friend, one for family. It's the 2021 Upstate Golf Cart.
You're clear.
Sweet. I got to make a phone. So I'm going to turn my mic off. I'll be right back.
No problem.
you thinking about refinancing your home but worried the closing costs would block any money you could save?
Pregame, Mike Greenberg is back on ESPN Upstate.
J.J. Watt, interesting choice. Took the money.
This was my third week. I've been very satisfied. The entire process is simple, never any surprises, zero closing costs means zero closing costs.
After closing costs, visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rate savings and offer limitations. This ad contains real money placed by actors. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Michelin Spartanburg has announced a career fair this Friday, June 11th, at the Spartanburg SC Works Office at 220 East Kennedy Street. This Michelin Spartanburg hiring event will be from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Michelin is hiring for manufacturing positions, machine operators, and forklift with minimum starting pay of $18.40 an hour, plus a potential $1,500 sign-on bonus. Don't miss your opportunity to start a new career with Michelin Spartanburg this Friday, June 11th, and the SC Works Office at 220 East Kennedy Street in Spartanburg.
This report is sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. Check out Mighty Jumbo Buns, now featuring a modern look and a $375 top prize. Head to your local SC Education Lottery retailer and get a glimpse and win some cash. See SCEducationLottery.com for game odds and details.
Sometimes reaching the radio is hard.
You good to come back in 30 seconds?
Yeah. Sorry.
Cool.
Without moving a muscle.
Great idea until atrophy sets in.
ESPN Upstate. Call 844-GSP-ESPN. Text keyword ESPN and your message to 71307. Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show. Only on ESPN Upstate.
These name, image, and likeness laws seem to be a huge talking point. It's like every time we bring it up, we get a ton of conversation about it from you guys. You guys seem very, very interested in it. And I'm frankly not all that shocked by it. I mean, whether or not we should pay players has been a major talking point over the last couple of, really for many, many years at this point. But over the last couple of years, for the first time, it's really picked up more steam. Both for on the pro and anti side, right? I know Alonso is adamantly against paying players. His thing is you sign a contract, you get all the compensation you need from scholarships, being paid to go to school, which is crazy expensive. The inflation of college tuition has far outpaced basically income nationally. And so with this discussion of what's happened at Capitol Hill, especially yesterday, when a number of representatives from the NCAA, including Gonzaga head coach Mark Few, coming up one game short of an undefeated national championship season in college basketball at the D1 level, what we are seeing is that it doesn't look like the feds are going to be able to do anything in time to stop the July 1st enactment date for many of the states that have started to put NIL laws into place, right? We know Florida. We know Alabama. I mean, Alabama jumping out front. There's a sentence we don't say very often. Florida, Alabama, New Mexico, Georgia, and a handful of other states. And some of these states will have direct competition. I mean, imagine being, let's say, theoretically, South Carolina not having any NIL laws in place to allow your athletes to benefit off their own name, image, and likeness. And then trying to recruit a player that's from North Carolina who has an offer between you and Georgia. All right, let's say a four-star wide receiver. It's got an athletic offer, a scholarship offer between South Carolina and Georgia. Whereas maybe in the past, South Carolina could say, hey, man, you'd stay in the Carolinas. You're closer to home. And that's a big selling point. Now, Georgia can go, yeah, true. But in Georgia, and here's a basic one, right? This is one that kind of bugs me. In Georgia, they would be able to, and I didn't realize this was even a possibility, but we've seen the growth of this. And Drew, you as a 17-year-old, obviously will have more connection to this. In Georgia, under these new NIL laws, a player could, for instance, own and profit off of their own YouTube channel, right? I didn't really consider that, and we've seen how many YouTube folks are making big money nowadays. By getting sponsored on their YouTube channel. There are people who simply play video games on YouTube and make upwards of $1 million a year because they get 3 or 4 different companies to sponsor them and give them tons of money just to talk for 30 seconds in their promo during a video where they're playing video games, and they got millions of kids watching them, right? Yep. These wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, defensive linebackers, whatever, could own a YouTube channel. They could go down to the local car dealership. If that car dealership says, hey, we want to give you $1,000 to come sit in our car dealership for 6 hours the Sunday after a game and, pimp our cars for us, right? These things will be allowed to some degree, though some of the states have been more restrictive than others. We know that, for instance, Georgia. One of the things that Georgia put into their NIL laws, and this is something I fully expect to see in other states down the line, is that anywhere between 50 and 75% of the money that these athletes would make in NIL deals, in what basically amounts down to sponsorship and endorsement deals, would go back into a pot that would then be distributed amongst all the other scholarship athletes around that particular school. Now, the feds got called upon by the NCAA yesterday to step in and to firm up some laws in a way that would be a little more structured, that would be national, in order to prevent some states from basically gaining a recruiting edge over other states because they have NIL laws in place. And my response to that would be, Drew, seems to me like those states should get it in gear and get some NIL laws in place sooner rather than later if they are that concerned about recruiting, because the feds ain't it. They ain't going to get it done. And it was obvious yesterday when even the feds were saying, yeah, I don't think that's within the scope of reality. In 3 weeks, 15 business days, to figure out a way to nationally reform this. Seems to me like if I'm, Mississippi, and I want to not have yet one more edge in recruiting go to Alabama, the easiest thing to do would just be to Control-C, Control-V their own NIL laws into my state to level the playing field. I don't see any other options at this point, Drew.
Oh, they would have to. As soon as somebody knocks that domino over, it's going to have to happen. I mean, nobody has any other choice for the competition, and that's the concern. So this changes the whole dynamic of the future based on who makes that first move, or if everyone does not make a move. That's what it comes down to, because as soon as that first person does, I don't think anybody has any other choice. So it is a very monumental moment in history right now.
You mentioned, when the first domino falls. I can tell you, based on what happened at the at the Capitol Hill level yesterday, Drew, you ever seen those videos? There's a really cool thing in physics, and there's videos on this in YouTube where if something has, and I don't remember the exact law because I am the big dummy, but there's a phenomenon in physics where if somebody out there is going to know this better than me, and I'm not being technical on this aspect, but where if something falls that has 51 or more % of the mass of the next object, and it falls at X amount of its terminal velocity, then it will not fail to knock down the next object. So there's these videos where this guy will start by knocking over this teeny tiny little domino, and then that domino hits the next domino that's nearly twice as big, and then that domino hits one that's nearly twice as big, And within like 8 dominoes, you go from a domino the size of your fingernail, starting a chain reaction that the last dominoes are like the size of a mattress, right? And they can do it in like 8 dominoes if you do the math right. That's what we already have happening here, right? The first domino fell a handful of months ago when Alabama, Kate Ivey, the governor down there, said, yep, we're going to be putting NIL laws into place here in the great state of Alabama. And then Georgia went, yo, hold up, wait a minute, don't stop, let me get it. And they said, well, if Bama's doing it, we better do it because Lord knows we don't need Nick Saban having another edge over us. And then when Georgia did it, Florida was like, whoa, wait a minute. If the Dogs get this edge, they're going to come down and smoke the Gators in Jacksonville every year. We better put this into place. And then New Mexico said yes. And I think Oregon and California said yes. Those dominoes are well past the point of stopping. At this point, Drew, there's the old phrase, you cannot stop it, you can only hope to contain it. And that's what this is, right? The NCAA went to Capitol Hill yesterday, not, I don't think, with any thoughts that they would stop NIL laws, but contain them in a way that they could be in control of those laws, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. The legislators on Capitol Hill yesterday said, look, this isn't enough time, you know? I mean, the NCAA was everything short of groveling to legislators. Please do something about this nationally. And on top of that, why is it such a big deal that they're doing it nationally? It's very simple, Drew. It's very simple. Because if the NCAA can get the feds to enact legislation to stop this nationally, then the NCAA and all of the very rich boosters within it can go to different politicians and lobby them with campaign donations to say, yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the way that this particular law is written. So for a $5,000 donation once a month to your campaign, change that law, and I'll make sure that my check shows up on the first of every month, because that is how you win in American politics. That's what this is about from the NCAA. And I got news for them. You waited too long. The states jumped out ahead of you. They got this done. And the I'll say ironic, interesting part, I guess, is that the majority of states that this is having an impact on, Drew, the majority of states this is having an impact on, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, are predominantly conservative states in the South. They are predominantly states that have built their history up on the concept of states' rights, right? States' rights, the state, the local communities should decide what's best for us, not the feds. And that's exactly what happened. And now large groups from those areas are now saying, wait. That's not what we meant. That's not how we meant it. We meant the state should have the right to decide as long as they decide the way we want them to decide. And if they decide a different way, then the feds should jump in and stop it. That's what a lot of this argument comes down to. And I find it very interesting, Drew.
It's been so hard for me to actually take a side whenever I've gotten into a discussion about it, because the whole approach for me this whole time is just crossing my arms and watching. Because I can't really get bent out of shape about what's going to happen. This is not a democracy approach as far as the people goes. This is something that's already been in the works, as you said. So I haven't really given a whole lot of argument to either side. I could debate it both ways on what's good, what's bad about it. But this is the future. It looks like somebody's going to do it. Everybody's going to do it.
100%. All right, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us at 71307. 71307, that's the Ingalls Market text line. Your texts are welcome. We'll address this further when we come back. I got some more stories that I want to get into as well. This Bo Schembechler story is awful, so we're going to get into that and a whole lot more. I'm Rod. He's Drew. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com. From the Ingalls.
All right, let's see what the comments say. Marvin, welcome in. Good to see you. Josh, nice. Yeah, they go for the clay. I'm an Irish kid at heart, man. I'm an Irish kid at heart. Tracked my ancestry back a handful of generations. This is true. A number of years ago, one of my cousins doing a genealogy tree, a family tree, Drew, tracked down a distant relative who like owns a pub and I don't know if the word hotel is right, but a pub and boarding area just on the north end of Dublin.
Oh.
And reached out, and they were like, yeah, man, come on up. Stay with us. Come hang out. Come see Ireland. So that's way up on the list for me.
Wow. That's awesome.
Josh said, what's the deal with Dr. Baseball? Hasn't it always been a thing? Yes, Josh, it has been a thing for many years. It's also illegal, which is why the whole premise of getting caught doing it is frowned upon, even though we do know that everybody does it. What has been hilarious is the pitchers who are getting called out to their face for the – that used to be the other part of it is, yeah, we know it's happening, but you don't talk about it, right? You don't say anything about it. You just let it be what it is. And now for the first time, journalists are straight up point blank asking pitchers to their face now, have you doctored a baseball? And since they haven't given them the wiggle room to lawyer the way out of it, pitchers like Trevor Bauer, like Garrett Cole are basically like, and it's absolutely hilarious. I played that clip on Mark's show yesterday too, Drew, and we laughed about it the whole damn time.
I listened to the first 20 minutes of that. That was fantastic. The weird part was every time there was silence, ESPN Upstate like buzzed really bad. And I thought it was something, I was like, man, there must be a connection with Rob's computer. But then it happened again this morning when I was listening. So there's like a loud gong going on. So it kind of ruined the effect of that dramatic pause. So that was kind of unfortunate. It's not in the stream. The stream uploaded fine. But that was kind of frustrating because it's such a great clip. Coming back now.
Hey, Rob can read, so he says. Email Rob Brown at ESPNUpstate.com and we'll put him to the test. This is the Rob Brown Show, local sports talk on ESPN Upstate.
Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. I'm Rob. Drew's back in the network studio. 844-GSP, ESPN, 844-477-3776 is the number. Text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read them on the air off of the Ingles Market text line. We want to hear from you there. So we talked about the NIL laws. Let's get all the serious stuff out of the way so that we can have some fun coming up in the next couple of hours of the show. Bo Schembechler's son, Matt Schembechler, who was adopted by Bo when Bo Schembechler married his mother, whose name I believe was Mary. I could be off on that. Anyway, Matt Schembechler is 62 years old and said yesterday that sometime this afternoon, and I don't know exactly when that time is going to be, but said that at some time this afternoon that he was going to have a press conference alongside a couple of former Michigan Wolverine football players in which he will tell the story. He will detail the story that he told his dad, Matt Schembechler, about sexual abuse at the hands of a doctor that worked for the University of Michigan from Bo Schembechler's time at the university up until 2003. Schembechler claims that back in 1969, he sat in his family's home at Ann Arbor, told his father that he had been sexually assaulted by Dr. Robert Anderson, who would maintain his position as a doctor at UM until late 2002, early 2003, that he had been abused. He went on to say that that was the first time that his father physically abused him, said he punched him with a closed fist so hard that he flew across the kitchen, end quote. And then since then, hundreds of former students have either accused or sued the university for not stopping Dr. Robert Anderson. Some students accuse Anderson of giving out draft deferrals from the Vietnam War in exchange for sex acts. Matt Schembechler, along with Daniel Kwiatkowski, a Michigan offensive lineman from the late 70s, Giovanni Johnson, a wide receiver from 82 to 86, who also played for the Detroit Lions, and others, will hold a news conference today where Schembechler will tell his story. Kwiatkowski said he was abused by Anderson 4 times. Johnson said abused by Anderson 15 times. Matt Schembechler told the Detroit Free Press in a phone conversation yesterday that, quote, "The thing with Dr. Anderson and Bo has stuck out with me for years. It's been hurtful. I felt betrayed. The coverage of what happened at MSU with Dr. Nassar really woke me up." Of course, Michigan State, Dr. Nassar was the doctor for the gymnastics program there that was accused of and had receipts brought about sexual assault for so many years that he ended up committing suicide rather than facing the music for what he did. Look, here's what I'm going to say. I've got a couple of responses from a couple of different people since this conversation started taking place in the social media sphere yesterday evening. First and foremost, I've had a couple of people that reached out and pointed out that a number of years ago, Matt Schembechler sued the university and sued his father, Bo Schembechler, over a business venture. The nuts and bolts of the case are that Schembechler started a business where he, in possession of a variety of pieces of the old Michigan Stadium, was selling them off as souvenirs to fans. Well, Michigan and Bo Schembechler stepped in and said, no, can't make money off of us, off of our property, off of our name. It was a big deal. The lawsuit ended up getting dropped, and Schembechler was unable to follow through with his business. And somebody said to me, hey, Rob, this feels like it's just bad blood from that lawsuit. And my response to that would be, if these things are true, if these allegations of assault from Dr. Robert Anderson and the ignoring of these claims of assault from Bo Schembechler are true, then, and I'm assuming that Matt Schembechler will bring receipts to the table, if these allegations against Bo Schembechler and Robert Anderson are true, then wouldn't it make more sense that the bad blood from them led to the lawsuit, not the bad blood from the lawsuit led to them, right? It would make more sense that Matt Schembechler would have carried around a spirit of resentment and anger towards Bo Schembechler that led to fights in the courtroom, not that the courtroom led to him carrying around bad blood that would lead to these accusations now. That would make more sense to me if these allegations are true. And here's the thing. Anecdotal evidence, right? Eyewitness testimony is usually considered valid in court, though it is typically not considered on its own as standalone testimony as enough evidence to convict. If somebody says, I saw the bank robber, and they were the only one who saw the bank robber, that is usually not enough to convict in that case. Anecdotal evidence is usually a type of complementary evidence. It goes along with hard evidence that would point in the direction. Until you get hundreds of people telling the same story about something that maybe you really can't have receipts, right? Like there's probably not going to be any written or documented record of sexual assault unless any of these athletes called it in. Now, the law firm that Michigan hired a number of years ago, back in 2018, did come out with a report that said that there were reports filed about this with the University of Michigan that the university failed to act on. They got reports of the assaults, they got reports of the abuse, and they did not react to them. They did not do anything to investigate nor prevent any future abuse or assault from taking place. This is going to be interesting to follow. You know, when this happened at Penn State with Joe Paterno, right? There was a big fight, Drew, because the fans of Joe Paterno refused to let that legacy die, right? I remember, as a matter of fact, one of my biggest on-air fights of all time was with a guy who, when I was working down in Florida, with a guy who played football for Penn State under Joe Paterno back in the late 80s, early 90s, right? And it got all of the details broke, all the facts broke, which basically came out to prove that, hey, Joe Paterno knew what was going on with Jerry Sandusky and did nothing about it, which, as far as I am concerned, means that Joe Paterno is just as guilty as Jerry Sandusky. And yes, the statues should come down. The road should be named. When they painted over, there was a big mural of all the Penn State legends that was painted on the wall just outside the campus at Penn State. And at one point, Joe Paterno was on that. They painted over him and removed him from that mural. And when they did, I went on and said, because at the time, Jay Paterno, his son, was doing everything that he could do to try to stop the legacy of Joe Pa from being erased. I went on and said, too bad, so sad. I know it hurts. I know it stings. It's one thing to learn that your dad got a DUI in the 60s, right? Yeah, that's awful. That's bad. It's one thing to learn that. It's another thing to learn that your dad, for years and years, allowed the sexual abuse of children and players in his locker room and did nothing about it because, hey, good old boys club, right? I know it hurts. I lost my father when I was 25. When people have said bad things about my dad, it has sent me into a rage. I understand, but you have to put into perspective what your father did, nay, allowed other people to do under his watch. And I had a guy from Penn State who played there, called in, Drew, and went off on me. You don't know, Joe Pa did so much for me. He was like a dad to me. I said, yeah, that's exactly the problem. If you could help Joe Pa, be successful, then Joe Paterno let you get away with whatever he wanted. If you couldn't, then he didn't. That's why Jerry Sandusky got away with everything he got away with for as many years as he got away with it. I know this stings to a lot of Michigan fans because Bo Schembechler helped put Michigan on the map, helped turn Michigan into the powerhouse that they had been for years and years. But there are hundreds of former athletes coming forward with these stories. Hundreds of former athletes coming forward with these stories. Matt Schembechler, his own son, is throwing him to the mat right now. All right? His own kid is throwing him to the mat right now. If this is true, and if this report circles back around and points out, and it's despicable that this did circle around back in 2018 and nothing got done, if this report surfaces, if there is empirical evidence that Bo Schembechler was allowing this to happen with knowledge, this is one of the times, Drew, that I'm going to say I don't give a damn about respecting the dead. Don't care in a heartbeat. Take down the statue, change the names of the streets, remove his name from any points and plaques that they might be on the stadium. Screw that dude. He deserves his memory to be lost. I will be watching that press conference with bated breath today, Drew.
Sometimes I wonder if there is a possible way to look at someone and say their reputation was marred rather than just purely eradicated. But it's tough. It's tough to have that balance. I mean, how do you just keep celebrating this person with the statue, with the streets, with everything, and say, ex-hero? It's hard to find a balance where you say this person still existed. We appreciate what he did. But at the same time, he was doing something just pure evil while he was doing that good. That's tough. It's really tough. I mean, the bad outweighs the good in this kind of situation.
Let me say this, and then we got to run to a break. Ain't tough to me at all. It ain't tough to me at all. If you're the type of person who is allowing the sexual assault of other human beings, I don't give a damn about your memory or your legacy. I don't care who you are. I don't. If it was my own family member and it came out and was proven that they were allowing other people to be sexually assaulted on their watch and they could have stopped it and did nothing, I don't give a damn about your name or your legacy or your memory. I don't care if you're dead or you're alive. You're dead to me.
I just wish it hadn't happened is all I could say, because I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course. And not even from like poor Beauchamp, from a humanist standpoint. That shouldn't happen to anybody. Whether it's his kid or his players or other athletes, no one should be abused. No one. And if it's allowed to happen, Joe Paterno, and if it's allowed to happen, we will see Beauchamp Beckler, then absolutely the hammer needs to come down and the memory needs to be erased. End of story. Quick break. Back after this to wrap up hour 1 of the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Our friends at QC Kinetics want you to not have to live your life with the chronic aches and joint pains that bother so many of us. And the first time that I talked to the folks at QC Kinetics when we were setting up our partnership, I said, look, let me ask you guys. Show me the science behind it. I want to make sure the science works. And number 2, tell me why you are doing this. Is it because you're in it to open up a new market, make some money? What's the plan? Well, the first thing they did was to show me the science behind it. And the science works. The science works. It's there. You can see it yourself. Go to QC Kinetics, QCKINETIX.com, and check it out there. And the second thing they said was, Rob, we do this because most of us have done and dealt with this chronic joint pain that can absolutely wreck your day-to-day life. Most of us have dealt with this in the past, and we don't want anybody else to have to deal with it. We want grandpa and grandma to be able to pick up their kids without knowing that it's going to tweak their back and make it hurt. We want pops to be able to actually enjoy his day out on the golf course, a break from work and fam, to get out there and swing the sticks and not worry that his elbows and shoulders are going to hurt the next day. We want that guy with the blue-collar job on a construction site who knows that when he gets home, when he sits on the couch, that's it for the night because his knees are toast from stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. We want them to be able to get through their day-to-day and their leisure activities without pain. That's what they're here for. And if that sounds like you, then you need to go to QCkinetics.com, QCKINETIX.com, QCkinetics.com, or give them a buzz at 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get a free consultation and learn how QC Kinetics can help you feel better, faster, naturally. 864-448-3772. It's QC Kinetics.
Ooh, heavy stuff, man. Minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Did you get that number for Rashad?
No.
It's in your Facebook.
There it is. Cool. How do you want to do this? Do you want to go right into the next hour? The 4-minute break.
No, we'll do the regular format.
Okay.
So we'll do like a 1-minute segment here, get out, do the segment, let you call Rashad, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Because we have to do the ESPN cash word at some point. 30 seconds.
This is going to be like a hello, goodbye kind of segment.
Yep.
Opinions you like, we'll say everybody has one.
Call 844-GSP-ESPN. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Well, this is the worst text I've ever gotten in my life. Here's the text to ESPN. Bo Jr., unfamiliar with the custom and concept of keeping things in-house. He needs to suck it up and stop being a drama queen attention whore. That texter, congratulations. I wish I had a trophy to hand you for worst text I've ever received on my show in 14 years. That is impressively bad. Your decision to go with there was, hey, if people are getting sexually abused, keep it quiet, drama queen. Worst text I have received in 14 years, and that's not a short list. Quick break. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins us next on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, WFBC FM HD3.
An Odyssey station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on ESPN Upstate. College baseball best of 3 super regional round action gets underway this Friday. Top overall seed Arkansas at home in the Fayetteville Regional tangles with NC State. Number 4 Vanderbilt hosts number 13 East Carolina in Nashville. In Lubbock, it'll be number 8 Texas Tech tangling with number 9 Stanford. In Tucson, number 5 Arizona takes on number 12 Ole Miss. Series getting underway on Saturday. South Florida takes on number 2 Texas in Austin. It'll be Virginia battling Dallas Baptist in Columbia, South Carolina. LSU squares off with number 3 Tennessee in Knoxville. Number 7 Mississippi State battles number 10 Notre Dame in Starkville. The College World Series set to get underway Saturday, June the 19th in Omaha, Nebraska. Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. That's your Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders on ESPN Upstate.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
Yeah, I will tell you the one thing that's frustrated me about Tim Tebow. And I'm not saying this is you. I'm speaking as somebody who used to broadcast down in the Tebow hood in the Sunshine State of the FLA. Tebow doesn't crack the starting rotation for the New York Jets. And the phone call that I got a dozen times and a dozen times more, Alonso, was they're only keeping Tebow down because they don't like him and his message. Yeah, definitely not because an NFL team is like, hey, let's make ourselves worse at football so that this guy can't wear eye black with Bible verses on it. That was the goal. That's what the Jets thought. Let's keep him on the sideline and be worse for it so that we don't have to look at him, I guess. It's a silly take.
I am not saying that if you're anti-Tebow, you're in league with Satan. You may be. you might be. I mean, that's up to you. That's on you and your soul.
Hey, Greenville, Spartanburg. Catch the Rob Brown Show, weekdays noon to 3 on ESPN Upstate. Sometimes reaching the radio is hard.
I'm real comfy under these covers, and I can't reach the radio.
Then throw on a robe and get out of bed.
Well, I never.
Then maybe you should.
Alexa may be sassy, but she can help as well.
Just ask it, I will play the radio for you.
When you can't reach the radio, ask Alexa to play it for you. Alexa, play ESPN Upstate.
Okay.
And listen to the Upstate sports leader without moving a muscle.
Great idea until atrophy sets in.
ESPN Upstate. Warning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown!
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show, back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate, South Carolina. How do you do? Great to be back with you. I am the aforementioned Rob Brown, my man Drew, back in the network studio in charge of the broadcast today. Every Thursday at 1 o'clock, we take a stroll right on up the road. Talk a little Carolina Panther football with my man Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. He joins us here on the show. Rashad, man, glad you made it back to the States, bud. Good to have you back on.
Thank you so much. Glad to be back. Rob and Drew, what's good, guys? What's going on? Let's make this thing happen.
You know it, man. You know it. Rashad Beard joining us here on the show. You can follow him on Twitter at Panther Nation PC or on YouTube. Search the Panther Nation podcast. Pick that up. Your home for all the stuff Carolina. Biggest story going around, and we're going to talk some football here in just a second from right now, Rashad. But the big story, the comments of David Tepper the other day regarding a new stadium. It kind of came out of nowhere because the first headline that popped up was David Tepper says no dome stadium in Charlotte after COVID-19, once the outdoor stadium in case another pandemic happens down the road, et cetera, et cetera. I had heard from some people in the past that there were thoughts that Carolina would be looking at getting a new stadium at some point in the future. I've even heard it said it would be outside Charlotte, perhaps on the South Carolina side of the border to kind of get a little bit more of the inclusion of both of the Carolinas in there. Is there that big of a push for a new stadium, or is this just the Panthers' top brass looking to try to get themselves a state-of-the-art facility?
Yeah, I think, and I just did a 20-minute video on this, and I think this is a weird thing because David Tepper, when he first acquired the team, one of his big things was, we need a new stadium. We got to get in here, get a new stadium. And his point was, he's absolutely right in that the stadium at some point is going to fall down. You're going to need to build a new stadium at some point. However, and this is just my opinion, I think the things that come with the new stadium, the city of Charlotte itself is not ready for them. The infrastructure is not ready for what comes with a Super Bowl. Hotel-wise, luxury hotels, you need a certain amount of hotel rooms. So I do think a new stadium should be in the works maybe 7 to 10 years from now. But I think it's a bit premature discussion right now to be talking about a new stadium. I think Bank of America Stadium is fine the way it is right now. And I think that it's just something to talk about right now. And the whole dome thing, I think it was a bit premature to say you don't want a dome. I think you need some sort of, at least a retractable roof. I think it's just, he's talking about it post-COVID. And I get it. The ventilation and all that is going to be extremely expensive. I get all that. But I think he needs to pump the brakes a little bit. I think the talks are a little bit premature right now about his stadium.
Rashad Beard joining us here in the Rob Brown Show. And I guess that's now I have not yet made it up to BOA Stadium for a game, but that will change this year when my New Orleans Saints head there for an NFC South matchup. You and I are going to attend that game together if everything goes right. I'm very much looking forward to it. That being said, it is not that old of a stadium. From the folks I've talked to around here, it is by no means a bad stadium. Look, I think everybody has taken what billionaire Jerry Jones built in Arlington, and now suddenly, that's the standard, as if that isn't a way past what is reasonable for most teams to build. Everybody's comparing their stadium to that. I just was taken a little aback that at a point in time where I want my first, and look, I know there's multiple moving parts to any NFL franchise, but at a point in time where I need my team really focused in on making the team better, finding more success, which, by the way, brings in more money to change things, that Tepper got in front of a camera and talked about all this. And by the way, and you know this, Rashad, called out and said, look, I'm going to be we're going to be a 1/3 partner in this. It's going to be 1/3 us. It's going to be 1/3 season ticket holders and PSLs, and it's going to be 1/3 public money. I just kind of found it amusing that the guy's talking about probably $1 billion project and calling for 33% of it to be funded by taxpayer money when this team has been a 500 ball club for a couple of years.
Yeah, and to his credit, he did say that I'm not going to force it on anybody. To his credit, I don't want to make it seem like he's just he's a money hungry guy, and that he clearly said that I don't want to force the stadium on anybody, and the community is going to have to want it. And that being said, it's going to take that 1/3 investment, whether it's from taxpayer dollars or whatever. And as a resident of Mecklenburg County, I look at that and I'm like, and that's why I go back to my comments earlier, is that, yeah, we get a new stadium, but are we going to get the type of events that we want? Like, I want to see Final Fours. I want to see Super Bowls. I want to see all these major events come to Bank of America or whatever new stadium is going to be called. I want to see it at that stadium. But I just don't think the city is ready for that just yet. And we've got a ton of, Charlotte's one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. right now. And so I think we have a ways to go from a city infrastructure standpoint to get it to where we can accommodate those type of big events. So, and again, I get it from his perspective, from a businessman. I get it. He's going to ask for that money. But there are instances of ownership paying for stadiums outright. I mean, Stan Kroenke, owner of the Rams, he paid for that $5.5 billion stadium out in LA for the Rams and the Chargers. So there is a precedent set for ownership paying big money out of their own pockets, or whether it's private investment, or however they get their money. There are other ways to get it done, and using taxpayer dollars is just a method. Whether it's PSL ownership, selling those seats, there's tons of ways to do it. But clearly what he's saying, I think he's been saying that, and he's been adamant about that since the new stadium talks have been brought up, is that he's going to want community investment and buy-in. And that's just a part of doing business, I guess.
Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. What can you tell us about the response from the Charlotte area? I mean, listen, building a stadium is a massive commitment. It is a huge undertaking. It can have major impact. Even if you were to knock down BOA and build it on the exact same spot, you were talking about a big hit to infrastructure. You were talking about tying up and limiting traffic in the downtown area for months, maybe years to pull that off. If they do decide, which Rashad, you'll know more about this than I would. I don't know if the goal would be to keep it in the same area or to move to another location. But if they do decide to keep it in the city, you're talking about a project that could potentially knock the Panthers out of Charlotte for a season while they finish the new project. What has been the reception to the premise of a new stadium from the folks in Charlotte, and the direct response to his comments earlier in the week?
Yeah, I think, most people in Charlotte like the bank where it is. It's a great location. You got the city backdrop. I personally love it. I think it's one of the better stadiums as far as location-wise. I just love it. It's a great location. I don't think you can there's other places you can put it. You talked about the Charlotte Pipe and Foundry location, which is not too far from where the Bank of America Stadium is now. You can move it there. Apparently that ownership is looking to sell that land. They're moving. And so that's been, I guess, an opportunity for David Tepper as well. But I personally, and I think most people in Charlotte, want to keep it in the uptown area. It's just great. It's just a great football location. I love it. I love it personally. And I can't speak for all of, Panther Nation and all of Mecklenburg County residents and all City of Charlotte residents, but I think we love it where it is. But I do think there's several options when it comes to the stadium. Obviously you can knock Bank of America Stadium down where it stands, rebuild on top of it, and that would displace the team for a couple of years. When the team was first in existence, we played at Clemson the first year. So it's not something that's new. We played at Clemson before. I think even playing at USC in Columbia is really good. They've got a good stadium down there you can play at for a year or so, or you can play in Raleigh. You can play at Carter Finley Stadium. You can play at Keenan Stadium at UNC. There's a bunch of different places you can play for a year or however long it takes. Minnesota just did that as well. Minnesota, when they built their stadium, they played at the University of Minnesota. So it's not unprecedented. I think it's something that would have to happen if you intend to build it right on top of where it stands. Now, if you want to build it somewhere else, the Charlotte Pipe and Foundry location, obviously you can still play at the Bank of America Stadium there because it's literally right across the street. But I don't think you would want to move the Panthers from uptown Charlotte. I think there's been things floated out there talking about moving them down near Carowinds or even moving them to Rock Hill where the headquarters is. I just don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, I wouldn't like that as a fan here in Charlotte. That's just me personally. But I'm sure there's plenty of other people that would love that. Or there's been even talks about building a stadium up near Kannapolis where the raceway is. So there's been a lot of talk, a lot of rumors. But personally, myself, I love it where it is. And I wouldn't mind the team being displaced for a year or so to accomplish rebuilding it where it stands.
Rashad Beard, Panther Nation podcast, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. All right, a little bit of a touchy subject here. Sam Darnold announced yesterday that he has not been vaccinated for COVID-19, says that he is still looking into it, doing his research, making the decision that's best for him, et cetera, et cetera. And look, Rashad, I will tell you that my philosophy is and has remained. I think it's in the best interest of people to get it. I got it. It had no side effect on me. Every study that I've come across has said it is safe with a fraction of the people who have gotten it having any side effects, but that it is ultimately your decision what goes into your body, what you would decide and elect to inject. It is Sam Darnold's choice at the end of the day, but as we have seen with Jon Rahm and the PGA Tour, who had to walk away from $1.7 million and a 6-stroke lead at the Memorial Golf Tournament last weekend because he got COVID-19. The reality, Rashad, is that if players are not getting vaccinated, right now it's reported there's about a 50% vaccination rate around the league, which is about on par for the country as a whole. If you don't get it, and you get COVID-19, it could cause damage to your team. It could be losing 2 to 3 weeks worth of training camp time, which is when the quarterback, I would think, really needs to be getting onto the same page as his receivers. It could, if it strikes during the season. I mean, COVID won't be gone when football season kicks up. If you get it during the season, you could cost your team 2 or 3 starts and force a backup quarterback onto the field, et cetera. Have the folks in within the fan base anyway that you've reacted to, has there been a reaction to Sam Darnold, or are people just kind of going, hey, it is what it is?
Yeah, I think Panthers Twitter especially has been up in arms about it. I think there's a lot of people that obviously would like him to get it. Me personally, I get where he's coming from. I mean, it is his decision. It's his body. He chooses what to goes in his body. And so at the end of the day, I mean, I had the vaccine. I got both shots. I'm one of those guys too. I was in the same boat. Like, dude, do I really want to put this in my body? I don't know. There hasn't been enough studies, but I went through that whole process too. But at the end of the day, I want, things to go back to normal. So it was my choice. I want to travel like I did last week. So I chose to get it. But it's a personal decision. And I don't think we can knock him. And I just think it was not in good taste, in my opinion, to ask that question. I think that's his personal decision, and I think it's his right to get it or to not get it. And what my opinion really doesn't matter at the end of the day, nor does anybody else's. I mean, at the end of the day, it's his choice, and I really can't say anything against him for not getting it or getting it. It's just his decision.
All right, Rashad Beard joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. We're kind of getting to that point, Rashad, where we are between OTAs and the start of camp. We are waiting for the official dates to drop to find out exactly when we will be able to get out to Wofford College, hopefully do some shows live, hopefully get to have you on for a couple of shows live and in person as we watch training camp. But for the most part, things relatively quiet right now. Is there anything going on behind the scenes in Carolina that is maybe more of a subtle bit of news that we haven't gotten eyes on yet down here in the upstate?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now, if you want to take some news from it, I think the biggest thing is that Robbie Anderson has not showed up to OTAs. They are voluntary, but there's been a lot of people kind of reading between the lines here, and that, him not showing up could be some indication that we may be looking to trade him. Again, all rumors. There's no, evidence behind us looking to move Robbie Anderson, but he has not. He's the only player that has not showed up to voluntary OTAs in some capacity. So there's been players that have missed practices, but they've been there at some point. I think so. That's the biggest news. Again, I think Sam Darnold. It's his t-shirts and shorts right now, so it's really hard to take away what he's got going on. I think we've gotten some news that Ian Thomas is looking much better. And boy, I got to call myself out. And boy, was I wrong about Tommy Stevens. Jeez, he wasn't supposed to get cut like that or released that quick. I thought he was going to be a little bit more, a part of the plan moving forward. He could still be brought back, but geez, I thought he was going to be around.
Yeah, Tommy Stevens, the kind of Taysom Hill prototype player for the Panthers too. And I was in the same boat. Especially after the success we've seen with Sean Payton and Taysom Hill, when he got picked up there, I kind of thought the same thing, that this was going to be a dude that, especially Matt Rule, a guy who kind of, I think, has a wide open coaching style similar to Sean Payton. I thought they'd find a use for that cat. His cutting was, let's say, unceremonious at best.
Yeah, I think there's still. I think he's still out there. Nobody's picked him up, but I think there's still opportunity to bring him back. I think they released him because they wanted more wide receiver bodies. Partly because Robbie Anderson didn't show up, and we've got other guys dealing with injuries. Terrace Marshall, they're bringing him along, slowly. So they needed more wide receiver bodies. So they brought in a wide receiver, released Tommy Stevens, and they still could bring him back. I don't want to get ahead of myself and saying that he might not. He's completely done with Carolina. He could still come back, but it was very surprising to me because I thought he would be, like you said, with the Sean Payton connections with Joe Brady. I thought they were going to figure out a way to use him, but I was wrong about that. But other than that, I mean, it's really quiet. Again, no major injuries. Knock on wood here. No injuries. We're trucking along here, and things are good. I'm really excited to get back to Wofford, man. I'm hoping they allow fans and let us get back on there to take a look and see what's going on live. So I'm really excited to get down to Wofford, man. This is going to be great. It's going to be great. Things are getting back to normal, and I'm excited.
Rashad Beard joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. All right, Rashad, one more, and we're going to step away from Carolina, and I'm going to ask you about a completely random situation elsewhere in the league and get your thoughts on it. So we have been watching the dumpster fire inside of a larger dumpster fire that is the Houston Texans for the past, really couple of years, but especially close since Deshaun demanded a trade. Then we had the allegations. Then they hired David Culley, a guy that a lot of experts in the league kind of turned their eye up at, like, why is that the guy when you're trying to convince Deshaun Watson to stay? Well, yesterday, after their last day of voluntary OTAs, David Culley gets in the media and says, yeah, I think we're done, right? There's another couple of weeks that teams can use to go through voluntary and the mandatory OTAs before training camp starts. He said, nah, we're good. Been out here for a couple of weeks, and we've accomplished all we need to accomplish. I think, Rashad, if there's one thing that you as a Panthers fan, I as a Saints fan, can look at each other and shake hands over, it's at least we aren't the Houston freaking Texans.
Yeah, I think that is, we can agree on that. I can definitely, I'm happy. We're in a good place not being the Houston Texans right now. That is not good. Not a good situation over there. Like you said, the coaches they picked up, I mean, it's question marks all over the place. I think they're going to be the worst team in the league, and luckily we have them on our schedule this season. It's not looking good over there, man. Not looking good at all. And I did not hear that they just kind of cut it short. That's very interesting.
They just finished. They asked him. He came out and he said, we've accomplished everything we came out here to accomplish, so we're just going to call it a day. Like Drew and I read that on air yesterday, and Rashad, like, I'm very, very rarely at a loss for words in the world of professional sports. You and I have both seen some crazy stuff go on, and our job is to come up with an opinion on it. But when an NFL head coach who has 2 more weeks of mandatory OTAs before a couple of weeks before training camp says, no, I think we're good enough. Yeah, no, David Culley. No, you're not. I was blown away by that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's crazy, especially for a new coach, new personnel coming in. You lost some guys. You got to get the chemistry right. Yeah, that doesn't make zero sense. I don't like that.
Rashad Beard is the host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can follow them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC, or go to YouTube, search Panther Nation podcast. They go live every single Monday afternoon and so much more frequently with everything you need to know about what's going on with the Carolina Panthers. Rashad, my man, great to talk to you, bud. Glad you're back home safe. We'll get you back on in a week, partner.
Let's do it anytime.
Love it. Let's go. That's Rashad Beard. Quick break. We come back. One quick segment. Then Savannah Leigh joins us. She's a writer for Golf Link Now. We'll talk a little Palmetto Championship right down the road at Congaree. That's coming up on the Rob Brown Show at the ESPN Upstate.
Harley Davidson of Greenville next.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Harley Davidson of Greenville is your home for, well, the best riding in the Upstate. Listen, I moved here in March of last year. I have been here for coming up on a year and a half at this point. Time flies when you're having fun, and half the fun I've been having is tearing up the roads of the Upstate on my ride, and I want you to join me. As a matter of fact, I was talking yesterday with somebody I'm very close to who said, man, I've heard you talking about Harley Davidson of Greenville, and I really need to learn how to ride a motorcycle. To which I said, man, only if you want to enjoy your life more do you need to do that. So first and foremost, you can call Harley Davidson of Greenville and get registered in the Riding Academy. You get in on the Riding Academy, and they will teach you everything you need to know to enjoy being on the back of a motorcycle. But then that same individual said to me, hey, Rob, unfortunately, I just can't afford a brand new Harley Davidson motorcycle. I wish I could, but I can't. To which I said, well, then I have even better news for you, my man. Here's the good news for you. They are the largest dealer of pre-owned inventory in the Upstate. So no matter your budget, no matter the style of motorcycle that you want to ride, Harley Davidson of Greenville, with the largest inventory of pre-owned bikes in the Upstate, has the ride for you. See their entire inventory online by going to upstateharley.com or visit their beautiful showroom at 30 Chrome Drive in Greenville. 30 Chrome Drive. Check them out online, upstateharley.com. It's Harley Davidson of Greenville. look like an angry leprechaun. No, I'm having to. I'm heading to the tail end of the BMW Pro-Am after the show today, Steven. So I'm trying to multitask by getting a bunch of my post-work show done during the show itself. I'm trying to focus on both so that when I get out, because I'm trying to be out of here by like 3:15 so that I can get over there and watch the last couple of groups come in from the Pro-Am. And fingers crossed, Ozzie Smith is out there. Dude, Ozzie just roped one down the fairway. Ugliest swing I've seen since Barkley was with that fidgety swing, but roped it down the fairway. I can't complain when he hits it like that. Hoping to be out of here by 3:15 to get over there in time to meet some of the celebrities before they leave.
15 seconds.
10-4. Pro-Am has a 542-yard par 5. Holy
Text us anytime at 71307. Use keyword ESPN followed by your comment. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Real quick story. Getting out of here right after the show's over to head over to the BMW Pro-Am because either today, tomorrow, or Saturday, I'm going to, fingers crossed, finally get to meet one of my sports heroes in Ken Griffey Jr., the hat that I'm wearing on the stream, I'm glad Joe brought it up. I told him this story the other day. Years ago, I'll tell the story real quick, and then Savannah Leigh's in the next segment. Ken Griffey Jr. was my hero when I was a kid, man. My absolute hero. I wanted to be just like him. I played in the outfield because of Ken Griffey Jr., and I used to wear the hat backwards in practice because of Ken Griffey Jr. So one year, I was playing for Shalimar Little League Baseball, and my dad was the head coach of our team, Drew. And we were doing BP. We were taking batting practice and warming up before a game, and I had my hat on backwards. My dad walks over as the coach, and he's like, "Hey, turn your hat around. Caps are meant to be worn forward on the field." And I said, "No." To my dad / head coach. I said, "No." I said, Ken Griffey Jr. takes warm-ups in his hat and hits backwards. It's fine. And he went, "No, your hat goes on forward when you're on a baseball field. If you want to wear it backwards, then go to the dugout where backward hats are cool." And I went, "No." And I kept taking the BP or warming up or whatever I was doing. My dad said, "Here's the deal. You're going to turn your hat around or you're not going to play in this game today." And I went, "Fine. I won't play in the game." Now, I was not a smart-ass kid, Drew. I really wasn't. Like, I was a really good kid. But for whatever reason, this was the line that I decided I was going to make my stand on. I'm not turning my hat around, Dad. I'm wearing it backwards like Ken Griffey Jr. So my father, and the head coach of my baseball team that year told me, "Fine, you're benched." And he benched. I was supposed to be the starting pitcher that game. And he benched me, Drew. He benched me for wearing my hat like Ken Griffey Jr. This is the hat from Shalimar Little League that I was wearing when my father benched me. I still have it. I was 8, 9 years old.
Your head never changed?
No, it did. I've got the hat extended out about as far as it'll extend.
I can't wear my Little League hats anymore. Yep. They're too small.
Yep. So I had this hat. I was number 12 on the squad. I was on that side, number 12 on the squad. My dad benched me, did not let me start my supposed start on the hill that day. That's a good picture, too. Did not let me start on the hill that day. And I kept that hat. I don't know why. Like, it was never like a conscious decision like, oh, this is the Griffey hat. I just still have it for whatever reason. So my goal in the next 3 days is to meet Ken Griffey Jr., tell him that story, Drew, and then get him to autograph this hat so that I can hang it up in the house.
You stuck to your principles, yep. And you come out on top in the end.
Cost me a start. But if I can successfully get him to sign this hat, it
you
will
played
have
the long
been worth it. It will have been worth it. Let's take a break. When we come back, Savannah Leigh, writer for golflink.com, joins us here on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com. From the Ingalls Market Studio, this is ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. ESPN Upstate.
An Odyssey station.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Fisher is different? How? Don't you just ride the wave?
Nope. We actively manage client portfolios based on our forward-looking views of the market. In times like these, we understand that clients want proactive communication and guidance.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we get to know our clients so we can tailor their portfolios to their specific goals and needs. We even offer resources on Social Security, Medicare, tax efficiency, and more. Our primary goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions, right?
No, we don't sell commission products. Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interest first.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, our fees are transparent, structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Microban 24 protects against Staphylococcus aureus and Enterobacter aerogenes bacteria, but does not provide 24-hour protection against viruses. Every time you touch a surface, you leave behind bacteria. Use Microban 24 sanitizing spray to keep surfaces sanitized all day. Spray on hard surfaces to kill 99.9% of bacteria and viruses initially, including the virus that causes COVID-19. Microban 24 keeps killing bacteria for 24 hours touch after touch. When used as directed, Microban 24, touch after touch, it doesn't give up.
Good morning, privates! Good morning, Sergeant! I mean, seriously, what a pleasant morning. The sun is shining and the birds are chirping.
I am 68.
How much time we got, Drew?
1 minute, 20 seconds.
Perfect. Thanks.
George Hinsdale Bank. George. George Hinsdale Bank a grand in the $1,000 cash stash is coming just before SportsCenter at the top of the hour. Listen for the keyword and you could pocket a grand in the $1,000 cash stash on ESPN Upstate.
We'll have your $1,000.
The Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
We will have your $1,000 keyword coming up for you at the top of the 2 o'clock hour. Your 1 o'clock hour word, by the way, is great. GREAT, great. Text the word great, GREAT, to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000. Text great, GREAT, to 72881 for your chance to win a grand. We'll have your next word coming up here in right about 20 minutes, as a matter of fact, from this exact moment. So stay tuned for that. To the phone lines we go to welcome in a friend of mine off and on the air. And now with a brand new title. She is, ladies and gentlemen, officially a staff writer for golflink.com, moving up in the world, and I'll take like 16% of the credit Our friend Savannah Leigh joins us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Savannah, what's up, girl?
That was the first time I've heard that, and it's kind of surreal. I'm not going to lie. It's going good. I'm on the golf course right now covering the Dogwood Invitational in Atlanta. So if I'm a little quiet, that's why.
Wait. Time out. So not only do we have you on your first day as staff writer for golflink.com, but you are covering event, and for the first time, we get golf announcer voice Savannah Leigh joining us on the show.
Yeah, I know it's a whole new me, guys. It's just we are moving up in the world. We are just rolling with it, and it's a whole. I don't know how to embrace it yet. We're going. We're learning. I don't know. I'm just kind of like winging it right now, but I'm enjoying every moment of it. I haven't quite came down from the high of being told that I got the job, and so here we are, and we're doing this, and I'm so excited.
Listen, I can hear the smile in our voice. Though I do have to tell you, Savannah, I now feel compelled to do the rest of the interview in my golf announcer voice as well.
I like it.
It's weird, but let's roll with it. Savannah Leigh joining us here on the show. All right. Look, I wanted to get you on for just a couple of minutes, and this is weird. I don't ordinarily do this, but I want to talk in particular about one cat. I want to talk DJ. I want to talk Dustin Johnson. He's over at Congaree right down the road in South Carolina for the Palmetto Championship, back in his home state, less than an hour away from Columbia, where he is from. DJ was a guy that going into the PGA Championship and into the Masters this year, a lot of folks were riding really high with DJ, but he's been, frankly, kind of average in those couple of majors. He's made an appearance on some leaderboards and some of the other smaller tournaments around the country since he put on that green jacket last fall. What can you tell me about the game of Dustin Johnson? Where is he at mentally? We know that DJ is kind of a high-octane guy away from the course, and there are some guys that know how to turn it off and turn on the golf mentality. Other guys struggle with it. Where is DJ heading into Congaree, being able to play back in the Palmetto State this weekend?
I think his mentality is up from the past month. He told the media that he hasn't just been putting well. And so that's one of the biggest things. If you're not putting well, then you're not going to always shoot really low scores. And so that's what was going on when he won the Masters, and he went on that really long tangent of winning and scoring really well. And so that's what he's kind of been doing, is working on his putting and getting back to that form that he was when he won the Masters. And so, I think his mentality is up this week. He's excited to play in the Low Country again. I think he enjoys playing in South Carolina because he's from there, and he knows he's going to have a home crowd, kind of backing him. And I mean, so far today, I think he's like -5 or -6 if he's scoring again. But he told media he was feeling it a lot better with his putter, and so he puts well. DJ's dangerous.
DJ is dangerous. I like it. So now I have not, to be honest with you, I have not been to Congaree yet, which I would love to go. It looks like a beautiful course. I will be at the Corn Ferry tournament, the BMW Pro-Am, which is taking place right here in the upstate this weekend, or else I would be over at Congaree. Do you know anything? I mean, what should folks be looking for out of this tournament? Which makes this, we've heard a lot of the golfers play and say that they like this course. They're excited to get back out there. Can you tell us anything about this course for the folks who maybe haven't been there yet?
Well, I haven't been there either, and I haven't been able to do a ton of research on it, but I know it plays well to Dustin Johnson's eye, and I think that's why he's excited to get down here and play before a major. And so, whenever plays well with Dustin, he's going to go out there and play and do it. And the last time, he played before a major tournament, he tied second, I think, at the Variant. And so I think you're going to have to be really strategic with your iron shots, and you're going to have to putt really well because those greens are going to be firm and fast. But I hate to be that person, but I just haven't got to do a lot of research on Congaree because it was just kind of like one of those, time in the schedules of being able, in the mix of things. But the way Dustin talks about it, it just seems like a really, really awesome course that I wouldn't be surprised if this week goes well, that it wouldn't, try to pop back up on tour, or at least Corn Ferry or something. But I wish I had a better answer than that because I feel bad not having a better answer. But I know that he was like that you have to be able to play your chip shots well, and if he's able to play those chip shots well, I think that's what gives him the confidence on the greens to putt better. If that even makes a little sense. I was just kind of reading through something that he was talking about, and he was it was all about chip shots and putting for Conagry. And so I think that's the main thing to focus on if you're going to play.
Savannah Leigh, staff writer for golflink.com, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. So, it's kind of interesting. We just had a text that came in a second ago and this floated right over my head. We're talking about DJ, has not had a top 10 since back in February. There are other guys on tour that are putting up significant more strokes per gain strokes per round than DJ. Yet then you go look at the world golf rankings and Dustin Johnson's at number 1. He's right now ranked as the number 1 player in the world. Does that speak more to the high level of golf that DJ was playing before he won the major and we cooled off a little bit? Does that speak more to golf has gotten a little more parity? Where would you place the reason that DJ has not had a top 10 since February yet is still the number 1 player in the world?
I think that run he went on right before the FedEx playoffs, and that to me is what really has put him over the edge and given him the amount of points or leeway that it takes to stay at the number 1 spot. And he's just a dominant player. No, I don't think that we've seen a lot of guys who are right there close to him continue to show that, amount of dominance week in and week out. I feel like everybody's kind of going up and down right now, working on swing things and stuff. But I think it was his dominant run right there before the FedEx playoff that has allowed him to stay at the number 1 spot. And I mean, he hasn't had a top 10, I think you said, but DJ is DJ. And I think whenever he gets on, it's just kind of one of those things that he can go low in a snap. And so, but to answer your question, is because of that long run is why he's right there, and nobody else that's in that top 10 or whatever has stayed consistent as he has. And I think because he was so consistent for it was almost like a month and a half, depending on that stretch of golf. I mean, that's a lot in terms of world golf ranking, and so that's what I think anyway. And if he plays well this week, it's just going to secure more reason to keep him at that number 1 spot.
All right, real quick, want to get this thought from you. So obviously one of my favorite stories of the past handful of years on the PGA Tour is this rivalry that we are seeing develop between Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, because they seem to bounce. It really does seem to bounce back and forth between kind of good-natured fun and some social media jabs. And then on tour, on the course, it just gets a little bit ugly. Rumors were that last weekend, as Bryson DeChambeau was teeing off, some fans were calling him Brooksy, and him and his caddy were pointing them out and having them escorted off of the grounds. Brooks then went out and said, hey, anybody who got escorted off the grounds because of Bryson DeChambeau, hit me up. I will buy you all a beer for your trouble. I mean, it's interesting, and there's a part of me, Savannah, that knows. The PGA Tour put up a $40 million pot that they are going to split up between the golfers that drive the most interest. And one of the metrics they're using is social media engagement. So it does make sense that look, there's no 2 golfers that are more successfully driving attention to the game than Bryson and Brooksy right now. Is it good for golf? Brooks Koepka said he thinks it's good for golf, even if it aggravates him. Do you think it's good for golf that these 2 guys are being clowns?
Oh, it's 100% good for golf. It's bringing in people that don't necessarily watch golf week in and week out, but they want to see what's happening and they want to know what's going on. I 100% think it's okay and think it's good for the game because it's entertaining. I think golf entertaining regardless, but there's some people out there that don't think golf is entertaining. And so the fact that you have 2 golfers kind of jabbing each other on social media, regular Joes do. I'm sure you've seen it. I've had plenty of encounters, and I just think it's awesome. I think I think Bryson has gotten himself into something that he don't necessarily know how to handle, because Brooks is a expert trash talker. And I don't know that Bryson's going to be able to keep up with it. And that's honestly probably why he did what he did last week and started pointing out people. And to me, that was absolutely ridiculous. You hear mashed potatoes, woobity-woobity, and all that other trash. And then, not trash, but you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. I like it sometimes, and sometimes I don't. It just depends on the tournament. But the fact that it bothered him that much, and then he's like, "Oh, it doesn't bother me. I grit and bear through it." I'm like, "No, you don't, dude. It's bothering you. It's obvious it's bothering you." And Brooks is winning. And it's just so funny because, the encounter with Aaron Rodgers on Twitter and him going, "Sorry, bro," and then Bryson being like, in your head rent free. I'm like, nah, dude, you're, Brooks is in your head rent free. And I think it's awesome. I absolutely love it. And then I love that Kisner was just like, when he gets some pay-per-view action on it and see what happens. And so I think it's good for golf. It's entertaining. It's something different. Now, if it lasts too long, then it's like, okay, guys, it's an act. But right now I'm all for it and keeping it up, especially through next week.
Savannah Leigh is a staff writer for golflink.com. We're going to see her work start popping up there very, very shortly. Savannah, I'm so happy, so proud of you. Well done. You have earned that, and now you're obligated to keep coming on the show forever the more famous you get. I'm sorry you did it to yourself.
Thanks, Rob. No, I'm always down to talk on the Rob Brown Show. You gave me an opportunity, and I appreciate you. So
love it. Love to hear it. You are very welcome. That is the great Savannah Leigh, staff writer for golflink.com, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Let's take a break. We're back after this. I'm Rob. He's Drew. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Tonight, chance for storms low near 69. Friday, chance for storms high of 87 degrees and chance for storms for the weekend. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Bruchitz on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 83.
Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to ESPN Upstate and all the sports, news, music, and podcasts. You'll make sure you and your people do everything possible to see that it gets all in one place. It's the Odyssey app for ESPN Upstate. Is your new home for
Steven from Greenville. Is he hanging on to the break?
Yep.
Lovely.
Are you shopping for a new home? With a zero closing cost mortgage from Cap Center, you can save thousands of dollars compared to other lenders.
This is my third time using Cap Center, and it's always a completely painless experience. I can't understand why anyone would use another company to pay closing costs.
Cap your home buying costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. This ad contains real client feedback posted by actors. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hey, business owners, what if you could cut all your business expenses in half? Well, you could start by switching to Spectrum Business. When you switch, you get the best internet and phone service for half of what you're paying now. Call 888-489-2212 today, and you'll get faster internet, proven reliability, and the most value. Only with Spectrum Business. Call 888-489-2212 today. Spectrum Business. No nonsense, just business. Restrictions apply. Call the details.
This feature sponsored by Dell. Sometimes it feels like your business is going 100 miles an hour, barely keeping up. Dell Technologies advisors have the tech you need to help you get past whatever's in front of you. For advice on solutions like XPS 13 laptops powered by Intel EVO platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
It's like I blinked, and suddenly all my business shifted to e-commerce.
Now, my business hours are whenever my customers need me.
My customers want everything now, faster than ever. It's a whole different world. Your business is changing. The United States Postal Service is changing with it. We're bringing you fast, reliable shipping nationwide, and we're bringing it right to your customers' needed. Let's discover new routes. Visit USPS.com/new routes. The United States Postal Service. Priority you.
yoga bodies coming up in the yoga room. At Finley's Fitness, personal trainers shouldn't have to personally do anything. But for that class started 2 weeks ago, I laid Indeed can help you hire the people that you need. Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Here's football legend Howie Long for Skechers Arch Fit shoes.
Do you like comfort? Of course you do. Everyone does. But if you've never tried Arch Fit shoes from Skechers, you're missing out on next level comfort. Say you like comfort, not trying Arch Fit like food, but you've never tried pasta. You're out on the one thing. Because with Arch Fit, Skechers created a whole new kind of comfort. Up with the high prestige, over 20 years of data to create a shoe that provides full foot and arch support for all-day comfort. Arch Fit distributes support across the arch no matter what foot type you have. You don't need an arch problem. Love how they feel. You have a passion for comfort. I haven't tried them. That's like saying you're a sports fan but have never watched football. It makes no sense. So if you're the kind of person who claims to like comfort, stop what you're doing and try a pair of Arch Fit exclusively from Skechers. Finally and true comfort. See all the styles of machine washable Arch Fit shoes.
20 seconds.
The only 24-hour mouthwash with twice daily use. Stay fresh out there with Smart Mouth Mouthwash, the only mouthwash that provides 24 hours of fresh breath with twice daily use.
Real, unfiltered sports talk brewed locally.
Oh my God, a hipster! Bring him a microbrew, quick!
This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Steven is on the phone line to chat a little bit about my King Griffey Jr. story from earlier. Steven, welcome to the show, bud. Good to have you. Thanks for taking the time.
All right, Rob, great show, man. Enjoy it.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that very much.
I just had a question.
Fire away.
Okay. Perfect case scenario. The day is good, no rain. You get to the golf course. In perfect scenario, here comes King Griffey Jr. He has plenty of time to talk. He even recognizes your voice and says, I heard you on the radio today. I love your show. You tell him the story, and he looks down at you and says, you mean you didn't play? And he won't sign your hat.
You know what? It's weird because there's half of me that's like, dude, I would, my inner 12-year-old heart would break. And then there's another half of me that goes, yeah, I'm going to be telling that story for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like to me, to be able to take away a story can sometimes be as good as any autograph or picture. And that would probably be up there. Or that might just be me coping with having my heart broken.
But then, of course, I mean, you never know these things in life. You're a big Marvel fan. I mean, what if you sitting out of that game kept you out of the Major League Baseball?
You know, it might have, but you can't live your life on what might have happened. What is going to happen, fingers crossed, from me sitting out of that game is hopefully I tell Ken Griffey Jr. this story. He laughs at it and signs the hat, which I'll be honest, considering the other day, Steven, I threw a baseball for the first time in about 12 years, and I thought my shoulder had exploded. I probably wasn't destined for the bigs anyway. You know what I mean?
Probably not. You probably still feel it.
Yes.
But great deal, and I appreciate you taking my calls. Stay good, and keep giving Mark a hard time, man. Thanks.
That's what they brought me here, Steven. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for checking in there. If I tell Ken Griffey Jr. that story, Drew, I say, man, I sat out of the game because my dad said I couldn't be like you, so I sat out of that game. And he goes, well, that was dumb. You should have played, put the team first. I genuinely do not know how I would react to that. I really don't.
That would be the irony of ironies.
Should you imagine? Griff's like, look, if coach would have told me to put my hat on the right way, I would have done it to help the team. I don't know. There's like part of me that would be like, but that's That's not cool and rebellious. You're cool and rebellious, Ken Griffey Jr. That's not cool and rebellious. That just means you had a cooler coach than my dad. 1 hour left. Get you some fun stuff up front. Zoe joins us for Fight Club. Twitter trending topics to wrap it all up. That's coming up in the final hour of the Rob Brown Show next on ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, WFBC FM HD3.
An Odyssey station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on ESPN Upstate. NHL playoffs, the New York Islanders are moving on. They eliminated the Boston Bruins with a 6-2 win last night. New York wins the series 4-2. The Islanders broke it open with a 3-goal second period. Brock Nelson with a pair of goals. Semyon Varlamov with 23 saves in net. The Bruins got both goals off the stick of Brad Marchand. Tuukka Rask made 23 saves in the loss. Game 6 tonight between the Vegas Golden Knights and Colorado Avalanche in Vegas. The Knights looking to put it away.
So, cash word next.
Yes.
And then I call Alonso?
After the first break, yeah. No. He's going to call us.
Perfect.
At 2:17.
Okay.
Do this. We're going to roll the intro. I'm just going to say hello and go straight to the word.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
We can't miss that again.
Yeah.
The hour.
Yeah, that was my bad.
Miss that. No, it's all good. We got to be very careful.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, put this commercial in my ear. Other companies around, we hear about belts that are mid-card belts or secondary belts, but one of the things that I've appreciated, Lance, is the amount of credibility and importance that you guys have put on the TNT Championship. Why does winning the TNT Championship matter so much to you?
You know, it isn't a secondary title by any means. It is on the same level as the AEW Championship. The AEW Championship is just one of the titles of right now, Kenny Omega champion, and he's been very selective on his fights, and that's kind of how the AEW Championship has gone, whereas the TNT title has been seen and defended many, many more times. Cody defended it on a weekly basis, fought and defended multiple times on TNT, and I think that's what makes it important in its own realm.
Hey, Greenville, Spartanburg. Catch the Rob Brown Show weekdays noon to 3 only on ESPN Upstate. Warning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown!
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Third, final, best money hour. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio right now. Mark Ryan back today, so he'll pick you up at 3 o'clock and take you through 7 p.m. this evening. Before we get into sports, ladies and gentlemen, let's try to win you a little bit of... Yes, indeed. How about $1,000 worth of money? How's that sound to you? Pretty good, right? Well, then that's great news for you, because now is your opportunity to win $1,000 on the $1,000 cash dash from ESPN Upstate. Your keyword for the 2 o'clock hour is door. D-O-O-R. Door. You're going to text the word door. D-O-O-R. to 72881. Not our text line, not our Ingles Market text line. You're going to text it to 72881, the word door, D-O-O-R, for your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. And I will tell you that yesterday, James was our first local winner of the $1,000 cash dash. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. One whole day into giving away $1,000 every hour from 9 to 5. One whole day into the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. And our first local winner, James, was able to pick up a grand. So congratulations to James. That's good for him. And it'll be good for you if you pick up a G as well. Text the word DOOR, DOOR, to 72881, 72881 for your chance to win a grand in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. A couple of texts that have come in. ESPN, could I get a shout out for D2 Watts 6U Dixie Youth Baseball Team? They are a team from Spartanburg County that has played in South Carolina District 2 tournament. They are 1 win away from making it to the state tournament and 2 wins from going as tournament champions. Heck, yeah, you can get a shutout for those kids. What up to the D2 Watts 6U Dixie Youth Baseball Team out of Spartanburg County. Go out there and finish that tournament, young people. Go out there, get that dub. We are proud of you. Very, very well done, young folks. The D2 Watts 6U Dixie Youth Baseball Team, a win away from making it to the state tournament, 2 from going as tournament champions. We got you back, y'all. Go out there, get you some. Congratulations to you. Take it to the next level, man. Take it to the next level. All right. Breaking news coming down the pipe as we speak right here on ESPN Upstate. Breaking news on ESPN Upstate, powered by Odyssey.com Sports and presented by BetQL. Become a better sports bettor. Get smarter to beat the books. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today. According to Heather Dinich, ESPN senior writer, the College Football Playoff Management Committee will consider expanding to a 12-team format when it meets in Chicago next week, marking the first step in what could be another historic change for the sport's postseason. Dinich writes that there is a 3-page proposal, a copy of which was obtained by ESPN, calling for the bracket to include the 6th highest rated conference champions and the 6th highest remaining ranked teams as determined by the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. The proposal states that no conference would qualify automatically, and there would be no limit on the number of participants from a conference. The proposal was written by a subcommittee made up of Big 12 Commish Bob Bowlesby, SEC Commish Greg Sankey, Notre Dame Athletic Director Jack Swarbrick, and Mountain West Commissioner Craig Thompson. It is the first step in what will likely be a long process, and a process that I assume would not be in play for the 2021 college season, although that is not definite as of right now. We don't know that for certain, but the proposal appears to be that the 6th highest rated conference champions. So if you win Conference USA, for instance, you win Conference USA, but let's say that you are a Conference USA champ with 2 losses under the belt. All right? Then, if you are the 7th highest ranked conference champion, you would not be guaranteed a spot. And the same is true for the P5 conferences. If you, let's say, win the Pac-12, but you are a 2-loss Pac-12 team, and you are outranked by the ACC, the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12, and let's say Conference USA's champ and the Mountain West champ that are all undefeated, you would not be automatically guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. Then the next 6 highest ranked teams. So let's say in this case, Drew, that Alabama wins the SEC championship. And let's say out of the East that Georgia goes undefeated and their only loss is to Alabama in the SEC championship game. But let's also say that the University of Florida goes in the regular season 11-1, and their only loss is to your eventual Eastern Division champs, Georgia, whose only loss comes to Alabama. Then it is likely, dare I say, probable that Alabama would go in as one of the 6 highest ranked conference champions as an SEC champ. Georgia, assuming that they were, let's say, ranked number 5, would go in as well. And let's say Florida only falls down to 8, assuming that there are at least 3 conference champions ranked inside the top 3. If Florida is 7 with 1 loss to Georgia and Georgia is 5 with 1 loss to Alabama, then the SEC could theoretically have 3 teams. And for funsies and giggles, let's say, again, theoretically and hypothetically, Drew, that Georgia wins the East, only losses in the SEC championship game. Florida, second in the East, 11-1, only losses to Georgia. And over in the West, let's say that Alabama wins the West, and let's say that can't be LSU because they play Florida every year. Mississippi State. Mississippi State goes 11-1, and their only loss is to eventual conference champions Alabama, and they're ranked number 10. Assuming that there are at least 4 conference champions ranked ahead of them, the SEC, in theory, Drew, could get 4 teams into a 12-team college football championship. And here's the thing for me, Drew. I got no issue with it. Because the goal is to determine the 12 best teams. And if there are 1 undefeated 13-0 team out of the SEC, 1 once defeated 12-1 team in the SEC, and 2 one-loss teams, 1 out of the East and 1 out of the West. And those teams all have the resume to make it to the dance. I don't care if there's 4 SEC teams in. Why? Because that, Drew, means that there are 8 non-SEC teams in, and we will finally get to see if what the SEC has claimed for years is true, that even their 4th best team is better than the best team out of every other conference. All right? We will finally get to see it on the field. So here's the thing, Drew. I accept that a 12-team playoff may create a situation where the SEC sends 4, and it may even create a situation where 4 of the last 8 are SEC teams. Because, Drew, unlike in seasons past, that means there are opportunities to beat those teams and remove them from the pool. And if the rest of the conferences fail to do so, they have no one to point the finger at but themselves at that point. Give me 12s and inject it into my blood.
Absolutely. And how many times have we seen 2 SEC teams play each other twice? The loser turns around and beats for the national championship the team they just lost to. It's happened a couple times.
Sure.
But now we'll have the best 2 out of 3 if that happens. Or it could even be that you beat this team twice, and then you have to beat them a 3rd time. Once in the regular season, once in the SEC championship, and then it all comes down to that final game. Incredible.
Yeah.
But I feel better about it. I feel so much better than all the times that Alabama would lose and then turn right around and beat the team for the national championship and claim that title again after losing to that same team.
Yeah, it's absolutely gonna be fascinating. It is. We may very well get, I mean, think about it this way. We might have a situation where we get a repeat of the SEC championship game in the quarterfinals, right? I mean, Georgia, Alabama, they played each other in the SEC championship game. Alabama win, goes undefeated 13-0. Georgia ends up going into the playoff, but as the 8 seed. I'm assuming that they're going to rank the conference champs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the at-large is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Well, that's where the concern is for me. I think this committee is going to be so actively involved. They're going to actively place them like bowl games. We know that the seeding has been set, but we don't like the matchups. We're going to rearrange the teams. I could see that happening because it feels like the playoff committees are so involved so far.
Yeah, and that'll be a question that has to be answered, which right now I don't think we can because, again, the proposal's 3 pages long, right? I expect that if it was the final proposal, that thing's going to be 30 pages long, but it's 3 right now. It's just the initial proposal. I would be very curious to know, are you going to reseed? Is it going to be a bowl format? Are you going to create Are you going to create matchups? Like if we get an Alabama at Georgia SEC championship game, are you going to turn around and stick Alabama and Georgia together in the first round for the sake of maintaining momentum? Or will you put them on opposite sides of the bracket for the sake of breaking up having back-to-back games if that becomes the case? I don't know. It's going to be weird. Let's take a break. When we come back in a minute, the great one, #DadKicks Colonel Grudge, the conductor of the Symphony of Sound that is the Rob Brown Show, the Alpha and the Omega of ESPN Upstate. Lonzo is on the line. We do Fight Club when we come back on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say.
In Zoe's folder, Drew, there should be a sounder for Fight Club.
Let me see.
Yep, see if you can find it, please.
I just don't think he's good enough to beat me.
Yep, that's it. Cool. Instead of a comeback song, just play that.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. Thanks for calling in. Just wanted to talk to you before you went on the air. You all good? Let's see. Yeah, it's a little staticky. Yeah. But your voice is coming through okay. So it's like yeah. So cool. No problem. Oh crap. Okay.
Dollywood.
What, sorry. Which one is it? Co-host 2. Nah, I'm putting it on queue right now. All right, I don't hear anything.
Weird. Hey, and tell him that he's bringing the show out of break like normal.
Oh, okay. Say that one more time, Rob. You were bringing in what?
Tell Zoe to bring the show back like normal.
Bring the show back like normal, Zoe. Cool. I'll keep her in queue, and I'll let her know if I hear her. Yeah. Okey-dokey. Sounds good. 2 minutes. Yeah, no worries. That's right. Keegan is no more. We were going to ask you the same thing, Steven. 60 seconds.
No, Drew gave Steven the social media interaction of the day the other day. Keegan carried the chat for 2 hours and 58 minutes. Steven said in one comment, you gave the trophy away, you ran him off.
Yep. Said, screw you. We can bring him back because we can do Beer Camp versus Ball Club tomorrow. He'd be mad if we did that today. And he's not here. Alonso says you'll probably hear Google Maps in the background, but cannot be helped.
Now it's time to discover where it can take us. Goodyear, more driven.
I just don't think he's good enough to beat me.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart, I want to eat his children.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
Welcome into the Fight Club. Well, even when we are heading towards the seat and we are trying to find our zen, we still want to punch somebody right in the face. And so here we are on the Fight Club, where hopefully I can be heard. Can I be heard? Can you hear me?
You can be heard, and I do not suggest punching people in the face while you're on vacation. It will end it early, Lonzo.
They don't know me here. So that's one thing. They don't know me here. So I'm heading to go see the wonderful pirate show. So I don't know if you've I know, Rob, you said you have a pirate show in Florida. The pirate show here, I cannot wait to see that. So even though I'm on the road, wanted to talk about what we saw Sunday or didn't see. But apparently $50 million worth of people bought the Mayweather versus Logan Paul fight. And Rob, of course, was not one of them, but was Drew one of them?
I saw my money's worth in the best of the best 10-second highlight clips that I looked up, and I argued to a T that those 10 seconds were totally worth everything.
There you go. So here's the thing, Rob. I have a comparison here. So they went through 8 rounds. 8 rounds of quality boxing, I'm sure. They got through to the end, and it was a tie. And it sounds like another sport that you've been trying to get me to get into, where you told me it's about the quality of the play and what's going on in the game, not necessarily the results that matter. Is this basically the same as soccer?
Lonzo, have you ever been accused of being a troll before? Has that ever happened?
I am a master troll.
Okay.
And I have perfected it over 52 years of life. But thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Look, and I'm going to save it until you get back on Monday so that we can watch it together and I can prove that at one point Floyd Mayweather knocked Jake Paul asleep standing up, but then all but dove in front of him to keep him standing up. You know what this is, Lonzo. They called it a draw so that in 3 months they can announce Paul Mayweather 2 and eat up another $100 million by promising people a boxing match that will be nothing more than a light fake sparring session. You know that's happening. I know that's happening. Can't we all just let it be?
All right, so here's the thing. So when we discussed when this thing was coming up, we knew it was going to be a tie because there were no judges and they would vote on a winner, and miraculously they voted on it being a tie.
Shocking.
Think about if you paid the money to go see this, first of all, why? But did you go expecting to see a winner?
If I go to watch a boxing match, yes, I go to watch a boxing match. Look, I know that sometimes fights are going to end in a draw. Sometimes one guy's just not better than the other guy and vice versa. It happens. I don't get upset at ties in sports when you have two level sides that neither one is able to get an edge on the other. It's about quality of play and handling yourself under pressure, and that's all good. I do have a problem when it is a fixed tie, specifically so that they can run it back at me again and don't have the integrity, Lonzo, to look us in the face and go, we really aren't doing this for a winner. We are doing this to make money. At least have the integrity to call it what it is.
All right, so we here on the Fight Club, we're ahead of the game because that's what we do. We talked about whether this was good for boxing or bad for boxing, and after we talked about it, all the national shows were talking about it too. And so I checked it out afterwards to see what they were saying, and some people were saying it was great for boxing. Some people were saying it was horrible for boxing. I am saying, man, it did nothing. I didn't think it would do anything. But the question is, did this help the millennials? Did it hook them even further to try to get them to be future boxing fans?
No, not at all. Not at all. Why would it? What about that put boxing on display? What about that? I mean, listen, if you tuned in to watch Jake Paul get knocked out, well, technically you did get your money's worth, although Floyd bailed him out and saved him so they could do it again. If you tuned in to watch Jake get knocked out, you didn't see it. If you tuned in to watch Jake Paul put on the display because you were a fan of his on YouTube when he was doing all his dumb crap, you didn't get that either. What you got was 3 rounds of very mediocre boxing, a Floyd who was pulling his punches for the most part to knock out his co-conspirator in this fraud they were committing, a Jake Paul who was swinging like a drunk guy in a bar fight when the lights come on. You got nothing. What about that fight would have been attractive? Now, I'll be honest, I've only watched about 20 seconds of it, and that was only the part when somebody told me, hey, watch this and tell me Floyd didn't knock him out, which he absolutely did. But I've yet to hear a single person say, that was a great fight. Jason Whitlock said on Twitter, I got took. Kirk Herbstreit said on Twitter, I got took. Boxing fans around the world on Twitter said, I got took. There was nothing that appeals. There was nothing that appeals to you if you are a Jake Paul fan, if you are a Floyd Mayweather fan, or if you are a boxing fan, new or old. There was nothing appealing about that fight.
Or Logan Paul.
Whoever.
I gotta say, yeah, Paul, one of the Paul kids. If you got took, that's on you.
Yeah.
Because how in the world could you go into this thinking it was going to be quality? And I'm surprised that some of those names said they got took. That meant that they thought they were going to see a real boxing match, and they did not. You know what I want to turn to? I want to turn to something where we don't know the outcome, and that would be NXT in your house. And yes, I said we don't know the outcome. We knew what the outcome was going to be in Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. We don't for NXT TakeOver. And I'm going to try to go from memory just to see if I can do this. I want to talk about the very first match, the most important match. This was announced a couple of nights ago. We knew that Mark Ryan, who's on vacation, but was he really? No, he was prepping for this match coming up Sunday. Mark Ryan versus my man, Cameron Grimes, and Ted DiBiase threw something out there. They brought in the briefcase, and I was, please let it be the $1 million belt. And it is $1 million belt. It's a ladder match. Just when you thought this match couldn't get any better, they throw out the belt out there. I am so excited about this match. Rob, who do you got?
You know, I don't. I really don't know. These are my favorite matches. I genuinely don't know who wins this match. I mean, I like we've talked about 100 times and 100 times again. Nobody has circled a round for me as a performer like Cameron Grimes has, and I am so here for it. But LA Knight looks like he's been getting a push. They didn't bring this cat in order to just kind of let him be a launching pad for a guy like Cameron Grimes, I don't think. I gotta think that Mark Ryan having Ted DiBiase in his corner They didn't bring DiBiase out not to put some shine on him. And Cameron Grimes is probably a guy that can eat a loss and then joke it away later with the character he's created. So I suspect Mark Ryan will win this fight.
All right, here's where I'm going. I'm going neither one of them is the winner. That DiBiase brings out another guy who's actually his protege, and that guy goes up the ladder and takes the belt, and they both lose.
So DiBiase enters because everybody's got a price, enters a third contestant into this?
At the end of near the end of the match, yes. And that guy goes up the ladder and takes the belt.
Do you have a premise? Do you have an idea of who that's going to be? I feel like you've got something brewing here that I just don't know about yet.
No, here's what I think it's going to be. It's going to be someone that we haven't seen before. One of the new guys on NXT. It's going to be, and that's how they're going to push them. And again, this is me on the fly in the car on the way coming up with this. So, and as you were talking, it just DiBiase is going to be the one to win somehow.
Okay, no, I agree with you. I think DiBiase walks out of this with the shine, unless they are creating some sort of DiBiase, Cameron Grimes super money team. But that kind of I think it kind of takes the funny away from what they've done with Cameron Grimes, and they built him up so well. I don't think they're going to do it.
All right, the next match that I can think of is Raquel Gonzalez going up against Ember Moon. Ember Moon has been, for a long time, one of my favorite women's wrestlers. I hated that she got out of the championship race for a while, but now she's back in it. But I don't think she's going to win, and it's unfortunate. I will say she's been really creative about how she's been using the Eclipse lately, especially going up against a taller wrestler like Raquel Gonzalez. I don't know why I can't say Raquel, but apparently I can. But I got to say Gonzalez keeps the belt.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that they are building up Raquel Welch and her character to send her up to the big show to kind of following the path that they used with Rhea Ripley. I think she's got another couple of pay-per-views to dominate on NXT, and I think she may very well may be one of the few who does not drop the belt before she moves up to the main roster. So I'm with you on that one.
All right. Although I've been accused of being a troll, which is very true, I still have to make a correction before the text line does. You said Raquel
Welch. I did it again. Oh, man.
Which would be an amazing thing. I think she's still with us. She's in her 70s. But, if that happens, I want to see that too. But I agree with you. All right, the next match again, going off of memory, is the five-way match for the title. And that is Karrion Kross going up against Johnny Gargano. Cool Kyle. Let's see who else is in there. All right, I'm not going to remember everybody.
Pete Dunne and Adam Cole, baby.
There we go. All right, so they've done all this building up of Karrion Kross. There is no way Karrion Kross is going to lose this match. But if he were to, it would be Adam Cole. But I'm sticking with Karrion Kross.
I am too. I got to think O'Reilly and Cole take each other out. They've had way too much Gargano v. Pete Dunne. I think you're going to have those four kind of eliminate each other, and ultimately Karrion Kross jumps in the way. I don't know if Scarlett ends up being involved in this somehow. Obviously, she'll be at ringside. I think Karrion Kross retains. I think Triple H, I guess, believes that Karrion is for now. I mean, they wouldn't have had him go clean over Finn Balor twice if he wasn't the guy for a while. So I'm going to agree with you. I think Karrion Kross retains in this one.
All right. I don't know what matches I've missed.
I do. How about what I got to tell you, I might be looking forward to this more than anything else on the card. Bronson Reed and MSK versus Legado del Fantasma with Santos Escobar. The winning tag team will be tag team champs and the winning solo wrestler will be North American champs. So there is a chance both the tag team title and the North American Championship change hands in the same match, Lonzo.
And see, I remember that match, but for some reason I thought it was going to be on the regular NXT. So would they do that? Would they actually take the belts this way after the build-up to get Bronson Reed the belts? You know what? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say Phantasma. I'm going to say they win. They win the belts.
I don't know, man. Like, Bronson has been built up as a major babyface. MSK has been built up as a major babyface. The only thing I could see it going squirrely is if they decide to let Legado del Fantasma and Santos Escobar cheat and then create a chase. Could you? I mean, you can create two separate chase angles here. Bronson chasing down Escobar, MSK chasing down Legado del Fantasma. And of course, you got some other guys in both the North American and tag team scene that'll be up for discussion there. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think Bronson has had a long enough run for it to feel like he has truly been robbed here with only, I think 2 defenses of that belt in the last few weeks. I don't know if you've put enough weight into those two guys, MSK and Bronson, losing those belts to create a really emotionally built-up angle. I absolutely see Triple H doing that and pulling that trigger, Zoe, but I don't think they will. I'll take the baby faces to win.
All right, here's the reason why I think that this could happen is because I think Bronson Reed is a placeholder. I don't think they really wanted to put that belt on him. And one way to take it away from him is to do it this way and then have him slowly go after it to get it back. I think that makes it more entertaining. And I don't feel like he's the guy for that belt, but we'll see.
We will. NXT In Your House 2021 coming your way this weekend. Zoe, I don't know if you saw, there was a really interesting, and maybe springing this on you. There was a really interesting article that popped up. Chris Weidman was talking about why it was that Israel Adesanya struggled a little bit against Marvin Vettori, which was kind of interesting. And, you and I think both of us have been pretty high on Israel Adesanya the last year or so, but Weidman said that he thinks that maybe he read the press clippings a little bit too much. Maybe he let it go to his head, thought that he was going to be dominant on the mat, and it allowed the smaller man to out wrestle him. Any thoughts on Weidman's comments on Israel Adesanya?
If I recall, isn't that this weekend? Isn't that
the
Saturday?
Rematch, yeah.
The rematch?
Yeah.
The rematch? I think it's happens to a lot of guys. They start believing their own thing and they go in there and they think, oh man, I got this. I don't have to prepare like I normally do. And then they go in the second time and they dominate. And I think that's what Israel's going to do. I think dude learns from his mistakes. And I mean, it isn't like he lost. He didn't lose. But I think he goes in and he dominates, and I think he pulls this out in the first couple rounds.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Exact same thought that I had. Lonzo, go enjoy the Pirate Show. Go enjoy the rest of your vacation, man. Looking forward to get you back on Monday, but don't hustle. Enjoy it, partner.
I shall.
There you
Bye,
go.
everybody.
There you go. That's Lonzo, the great one, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a moment from right now, one quick segment, then Twitter trending topics. What is going on with me? Twitter trending topics to wrap it all up right here on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
My computer froze there. I don't know if the stream went down or not, but my computer froze up for a minute.
I don't think so.
Okay, perfect.
We are perfect. Sure, why not? Let's see. Alyssa, can you hear me? Cool.
Hey, Drew.
Yep.
Out of 50 states, how many states highest? Do what? Say that again. Can you hear me?
1 second.
Okay.
Hey, Alyssa, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, you're all good. Sorry about that. Yep. I sure will give her my phone number. All right, I'm back, Rob.
How many of the 50 United States, how many's highest government paid state employee is a football coach?
4.
27.
Oh, goodness.
27.
Really?
27 of the highest paid state employees in the country. 27 of them are football coaches. And my map went down. If you make that athletic coaches, right? If you make that athletic coaches and you include basketball coaches, that number grows by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That number grows by 11, making it, what is that, 38 states where the highest paid employee is an athletic coach at a university.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
That's the highest paid government employee at all, because those state schools are that are state schools.
Yeah,
those employees are government employees by definition.
They are. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I gotcha. I don't know what I was thinking.
Can you name the top 5 highest paid coaches in college football?
Yeah. 10 seconds though, coming back, okay. But I would have named all 5 for sure.
We'll do this on air.
Oh, okay.
Don't go look it up. Don't you cheat.
No, I won't.
Dispensing real, unfiltered sports talk every weekday noon to 3. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Deadspin has released a map of the United States with every state's highest paid public employee listed on it. Now, I asked Drew during the break, and I'll ask you guys, those of you playing the Rob Brown Show Home Edition, of the 50 United States, how many states have their highest paid public employee as a college football coach? I'll give you a second to think about it. Of the 50 states, how many of them's highest paid public employee is a football coach? Take your guess, write it down, bet your points. Ladies and gentlemen, that answer, 27. 27 states, highest paid public employee is a football coach. That does include South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, along the South. The highest paid state employee in Florida is a basketball coach. Same with North Carolina. Same with Indiana. Same with Kentucky. If you include basketball coaches in the mix, then the highest paid public employee being a athletic coach rises to 38 38 states, highest paid public employee is an athletic coach of some type. The schools that are not. Nevada's highest paid public employee is a medical school plastic surgeon. Montana's is a college president. North Dakota's and South Dakota's are both the dean of their medical schools. New York, medical school department chair. Maine's is a law school dean. Some of the other states, all the rest of the states that are not, are college presidents, including Alaska. Just for fun and to keep Drew on his toes. Drew, can you name for me the top 5 highest paid NCAA football coaches?
I don't even know if I can name the SEC head coaches. I'm going to take a stab and say
a couple of them are pretty good.
Nick Saban.
Nick Saban is number 1. He pulls in over $9,300,000 base salary per year.
Let me just go ahead and throw it out there. I don't think it would be in the top 5, but maybe Dabo Swinney.
Dabo Swinney is number 3, pulling in $8,319,775 base salary per season.
Okay. Man, I remember when Butch Jones was way overpaid, so I'm going to say Chris Heupel.
Nope.
Okay.
Think of one guy who left a school that he won a national championship with and went to another school in a different conference only for money. No guess?
It's going to be obvious.
It is. Number 5 on that list is Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. Pulls in a base of $7.5 million per season. Number 4 on that list, Michigan is paying Jim Harbaugh $8,036,179 in base per year. Number 2 on the list, I don't think you would guess if I gave you 100 guesses, Drew. Being paid more than Dabo Swinney by $600,000 almost exactly a year. Ed Orgeron at LSU is the second highest paid coach in college football. How about that?
Yeah, it does make sense because Les Miles was in the top 2 for forever. Yep. And he just stepped right in.
Yup.
Makes sense. But you're right. I would not have guessed it just because my brain does not think quickly on its feet. But like I said, the SEC, I know, takes like 5 of the top 10.
Yep. It's a big list. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, we wrap it all up and hand it off to Mark Ryan with a little Twitter trending topics. That's next. I'm Rob. He's Drew. You're you on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say play ESPN Upstate.
Screw something up. Keegan, you're back. Welcome back. So Rob hasn't responded yet, but I'm assuming Ball Club and Beer Can game happens tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay. I did work on that this morning. I was super excited. I got off work a little before 6 a.m. and I had already drunk my 5-hour energy, so I was wired. I was like, what am I going to do? So I worked on it. And a part of me says, you're probably going to wrap this up at 30 seconds till 3 and drop everything and literally run out the door.
Yep, I'm trying to go watch me some golf.
Yeah, buddy.
Some guff.
Some guff.
Welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
.com/joy. 60 seconds. Is it too late to buy tickets for the Swamp Rabbits with the riot?
No, it is not, Keegan. And I will, after the show, I will send you the number that you will need to call. In fact, let me see if I can have time before we start Twitter. No, I'll send you the number.
Commercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers. And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
Let's find out what's happening on the internets. If I told you that a ring of fire was trending, what would you say, Rob Brown?
Johnny Cash is the man.
Yep.
Do you know I share the same birthday with Johnny Cash?
No way.
I do. February 26th.
What are the odds?
I know. One out of 365. Yes. Yes, Ring of Fire, man. Still a great song. But that is not why it is trending. And I know why it is trending, as a matter of fact. It is because this morning, the Ring of Fire eclipse was visible. Not only in the far north, but the Ring of Fire eclipse happens when the moon crosses in front of the sun, but does not block it entirely out. You will actually see the rays of the sun come around the moon, and it will. Not this morning. Tomorrow. No, it was this morning. Yeah,
it was.
Morning.
Yeah,
I didn't wake up because we wouldn't be able to see it here. But when it crossed in front of the sun, it caused a Ring of Fire eclipse, which is exactly what it sounded like. The eye of Sauron staring down upon our hopeless planet.
It started after sunrise north of Lake Superior, and then at New York was able to see about 73% of what happened to the partial solar eclipse. But what's really cool is some astronomers organized enough to book airplane flights into the zone of maximum darkness and watch from high perches in Midtown Manhattan. So astronomers were flying, following it as best they could. It's pretty cool. We go from a song reference to a musician, Lorde.
Oh, Lorde, like the singer. I thought you were going to tell me a musician who had earned the title Lorde.
Nope.
Look, I don't know a ton about Lorde's music. I do know that that song Royals remains an absolute banger. For anybody who has grown up with next to nothing and found their way, it remains an absolute banger. There's a heavy metal version of that song out there that I think she collabed on, or I don't remember how it helped orchestrate. I don't remember. But I do not know why she is trending today.
It was kind of ironic because she accidentally, I don't know she personally, but it was accidentally released her new song, Solar Power. Since been removed, but not yet. Not yet. But I was like, isn't that really a mistake? Solar Power was the new song that people were trying to capture. And if they can't have it, it trends.
I'll give it a listen.
Yeah. If you can find it. Let's see. Last one is Ice-T.
Ice-T. Do not know why Ice-T is trending. I am sure that Ice-T probably said something on Twitter that got folks all fired up today. No idea why he's trending, though.
Nah, not the person. No, it's just National Ice-T Day.
Not Ice-T, the celebrity, actual Ice-T.
Yep, June 10th.
Let me say this, Drew. I say this, I stand by it till the day I die and take my final breath. Regular iced tea is gross. Sweet tea is the norm. All right? People say all the time, why do we call it sweet tea and unsweet tea? Shouldn't it just be tea and sweet tea? No, because sweet tea is the default. Right. Sweet tea is the default. If you are ordering tea, it should come sweet. That was fitting, I guess. It should come sweet. Unless you are a sociopath who drinks regular tea. What's wrong with you? What happened to you? Did you have some childhood trauma that we need to talk through?
And the weird sun tea where they like leave it out in the sun and it brews slowly over years of time. Like, why would you do that? Just boil some water, put some sugar in it, and a tea bag. But I just wanted to end the show a lot how we began. You know, I think that some of us have to chase celebrities and go to national sporting events. Others of us just need a little sun and sweet tea to be happy. That's all I need.
Hey, it turns out you're allowed to have all of those things at the same time, Drew. Who knew?
You're right.
I got retweeted by Dave Bautista last night. The Animal. WWE superstar and Hall of Famer Dave Bautista retweeted. I made a comment because he popped up on one of my shows. It's a show called What We Do in the Shadows. It's on Hulu.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Love that show.
One of my favorite shows of all time. I love What We Do. I'm rewatching it, and I realized that in like season 1, episode 5 or 6, they go into a vampire prison, and one of the imprisoned vampires is Dave Bautista, playing a character named Garrett. So when last night at 1 o'clock in the morning, because I don't sleep because I am part vampire, I think, I tweeted out how cool it was to recognize years later that was Dave Bautista, and he retweeted me and said, "Thank you, sir." Hashtag Garrett the Vampire. So, you know, some of us chase celebrities, Drew, and sometimes celebrities chase me.
Hey, I'm hanging out with a celebrity right now. One more day, buddy.
Let's give away some money. What do you say? Your keyword for the upcoming 3 o'clock hour today is run, R-U-N, like run to your phone, and text run, R-U-N, to 72881, 72881. Text the word run, R-U-N, to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. We've already given away one. We might give away another $1,000 today. Text run, R-U-N, to 72881. Drew, appreciate the hard work today, Bubba. Diesel and Mark Ryan are up next for Offside. Joe, have a great day. See you tomorrow. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. This was the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.